Okay, being a couple minutes after 7, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Stand, join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, this month we have a whole slew of minutes to approve. We have the public hearing for September 14th, the committee meeting for September 14th, the public hearing for September 20th, the regular meeting for September 20th, and the public hearing on the 28th of September, as well as the minutes for the October 14th and the regular meeting on October 20th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion from trustee Labar, second.
I'll second it.
Second from trustee Rittenhouse. Any discussion, additions, deletions? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We have no privilege of the floor this evening, so we'll move right on. Okay, a few comments from myself. The first item you see, Genesee Valley Revitalization Guild, Inc., incorporation information I received this week from the hands of Al Jameson. This is the group, you won't have that in your pile, it's just a piece of paper, unless you really want it.
No, we're good.
That's the name of the group that was originally
The castle.
on the castle. They've had some reorganization. A few people have stepped out of the organization. And they're trying to take a more tactful approach to it. In fact, on Thursday at 1:30, I'm going to be talking with a gentleman that they've talked to. But I think they may have given him some bum scoop. So he seemed to think, or at least the way he conveyed his thoughts, that we owned it. So that...
Is their purpose or the goal changed, or is it still the same?
Somewhat the same. They want to work with Al anyway said they want to work with Mr. Crow, this other gentleman who I believe is actually from Perry.
He was one of the original.
Yeah.
He was the Perry guy.
The tall guy. He was kind
He was
of
part of the. He was an older guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was part
had
of
like
the,
a beard.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember his name. Anyway, he's meeting with me on Thursday afternoon, so I will get back to you if there's anything. I'm just trying to steer them in a less confrontational direction. Okay, and I think they seem to realize now that it's, at least Al does, that they can't be hitting people over the head and insulting them and everything like that. So learned it the hard way. In fact, I told him, he seems to have taken it to heart, stay out of the picture. Work behind the scenes.
Who do you find a mouthpiece that can be diplomatic?
Yeah. So, anyway. And let's see, we got some New York State water infrastructure grants, round 3. Have you seen those, Scott?
No, I have
I got, they're in this pile right here. Should be right on the bottom. No, that's not the case. Anyway, the information I got was from a consulting company out of Albany, and it's for both grants for water and for sewer. There's about 4 different items on there that you can use it for. It's certainly something to take a look at. And the one thing that caught me on the sewer side was sewer lines, or that's what's called, sewer lines. I think it was the same thing on the water side. You might want to take a look, see if there's anything in it, touch base with MRB, see if they know anything about it. If we can get something to help us improve stuff, why not? Yeah. And I got a letter today from NICOM on a member engagement initiative. Basically, they want to put more pressure on Albany to have Albany more responsive to our needs. And one of the ways they were going to do it is have each community designate an individual who would be sort of the liaison with all, with their committee up there in Albany, as well as get like the Village Boards Association or other mayoral organizations to touch base, spread the word, get some organization behind it. They've got one person I think they're going to dedicate to it. They put a cap on everything, they cut back on state aid, and then tell you to do more.
Have you volunteered for that?
I figured that I would
We're
probably.
told.
I figured that since I'm here more regularly and I am in contact with them on a
Yeah, that's why I put that.
fairly regular basis, I'd probably be the guy.
Thanks, Pete.
You're welcome, Dick.
We take one for the team.
It just goes all that money I make. So that you know what's going on. I'll probably be talking about this tomorrow night with all the other mayors and board members there. And the last item I got under there is this LMC pipe recycling operation, air registration. Are you familiar with that?
We had to get,
Yeah, I got copies here if you want it. If you need it for anything. It's just information for us. We, just to have it, so it's not. Wasn't quite sure what they were talking about until I read through it.
Is it kind of just a formality?
Well, it's a permit they have to have down there. And I think it was Department of Health?
no, it's DEC.
DEC, okay. It was on their pipe cleaning operations, what it's for.
We have ventilation fans inside,
Mhm.
discharging for the atmosphere,
Yeah.
cleaning it.
So they got a permit to operate, so I guess we're in pretty good shape there with them. Have they started doing anything yet?
I think they're waiting for this air.
Well, I would assume they've got it now. I would think if we got it. Other than,
Probably monitor that air.
They had to.
Yeah.
okay. And I think that is it under comments and correspondence. Village clerk, legislative. Anything on our action update, our action list update?
No dates.
Okay. Have you heard anything from Bill on our water and sewer?
Just the last email that he sent you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, there was the, do you have any more information, or you want to go ahead and talk on the OCR grant thing we were talking about earlier today?
Yeah. We did get a notification that they're doing a New York State Home Local program right now. So there's a few different types of grants that we could apply for. It would be due, I believe it's December 7th. Yep, December 17th is when it would be due. And the mayor and I had talked earlier, and I was thinking that we could only be awarded one of these, if any, but we can, Mayor, we can actually be awarded two. So
Oh.
we can apply for two. We have the possibility of being awarded for two. So one of them is similar to the housing rehab grant, which is what we're doing right now, but they're run out of different offices with the state, that's all.
Want to explain the difference?
So this one's the homeowner housing rehabilitation with or without rental units. And this one, the maximum award is up to $450,000. So it would just be an owner-occupied home. There could be rental units as long as it was owner-occupied. And then the other one that we were interested in is rental rehabilitation, because we have a lot of rental properties in the village of Dansville. And these would be funds that would be put in only to rental properties that can be owner-occupied homes. And this one is up to $715,000. So I think we just briefly mentioned it last week. I've touched base with Heather Grant, so we're going back and forth on this a little bit. I did also I had sent an email to Toma Development as well, and the next round of housing rehab is going to be in 2017. And that's what we figured anyways, because they do it every 2 years. And Heather was thinking that, first she was thinking that because we have administered these types of grants before, it would better our chances, because they're looking for organizations that already have experience. And we're on our second round of the housing rehab. But then she also said, kind of, make sure you're not putting too much on your plate because it may not be worth it if you can't administer it properly. But we've always hired a firm to administer the grant, so I don't see an issue there. And then the payment requisitions go through our office, and I think we could take on another one. It's well worth it.
Since we've had Toma do it in the past, and they've always been the only ones to apply for the administration end of it, I would think they would probably take that as well.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I mean, the grant writing itself would probably go through the county, unless she wants to hand it off down there to Toma or somebody, but the administration on it, that's an outside outfit, so that could be Toma again. We just have to put out, an RFP for whoever wants to put it in, and choose them.
Right.
You know.
Right, and so far they're the only ones that ever answer the RFP.
Mhm.
Toma's with the town also, right, Greg?
Mhm.
Toma did one to the town.
Yep.
I think Toma has done all of the towns and villages within Livingston County. Is that correct? We talked
I don't know
about
if
that.
he's done them all, but he's done quite a few.
At one of the association
Mhm.
meetings, and it's always pretty much been them. And I guess because the county has a grant writer now, the only time that Toma will be writing grants for any of us is if like Heather has too much on her plate and she has to pass it on to them. But also with Heather doing the grants, it's a little more work on the municipality as well. Where with Toma, they would just take it and run with it. And they wouldn't ask us for a whole lot of information. It's more of like a team effort now. So it is a little more work for our office. It was with the fluoridation grant. And then I think there was one other that she helped with.
Restore New York.
Restore New York. But it's okay. It works out.
Since you mentioned Restore New York grant, isn't that something we anticipate hearing about before the end of the year?
I think in December.
December?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's usually when usually just before Christmas, they let the grants, the information out on those,
Yeah.
the awards.
Yep.
All right, next item I have is Town Hall Visitor Center up there. I mentioned that last week, and lo and behold, I got a call from the tourism office down at the Chamber in Geneseo that they're actually going to close up their office down here, that little shack, because people were apparently using that as a living quarters, either overnight or passing through, or on a regular basis.
It's been a nice summer.
Yeah.
That blanket will travel. What were they, little people?
When you're homeless or just on doing whatever to get by, anything works.
But the thing of
It has 4 walls and a roof.
yeah, but the thing of it is that
Yeah. So they're going to be coming and meeting with us next, with Megan and myself, next Tuesday. And we'll talk about what we can do and how it would work for them and all of that.
Is that something that should go through the town, or?
Town's already involved in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I already talked to Denver about it. We would run it, they would just provide some space. And right now we're looking either at the foyer over by the steps, that corner there, or that
Candy machine is?
candy machine or whatever, the non-working one, it certainly has nothing in it. Either that or just inside the auditorium. And if they have questions, they can bring it right over to Megan or to Jess or whomever, and we can get further information for folks. So plus we can keep an eye on it and make sure it's kept up, maintained neatly.
Yeah.
With everybody comes into the building for town business, village visit courts, probation today, and whatever else you got going on, plus DMV. It gets a lot of traffic in here. So I'll let you know more when I have some more to give you after next Tuesday. And the other item I had was a DWF contract payment and reporting forms. Did I give that to you, Megan?
Not that I recall.
Because I
It
don't,
doesn't mean that it's not down there.
yeah, I don't think there was any action on it, but, because I don't have it here, so I wonder if it was that the one for, no, I forgot. I have to look it up. Should have looked at this before I went home. Make sure I had everything. And with that, I will turn it over to Trustee Rittenhouse, Public Safety, sir.
Anything new from the fire department? I know that we were up in Auction.
Yes, we were up in Austin. We actually have, I think we had a pretty good
With
response.
the new section?
Yes.
Was it?
It was, right road.
Well, because you say that, I got the contract now. I have signed and everything.
Well, as I showed up, I walked up to Greg and said, is this the one or two that we're gonna get up here? Is this the one?
Yeah, so, actually still Cancerega, so it's not the time, so.
Oh, was this up at Lawrence?
Yeah, was that the shed on that one?
Yes.
Was it-
Yeah. Sue and Bill Learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I think we had pretty good response, I didn't even know how to get there now. So. Pretty straight.
Well, I think if you look at it, if we were toned out at the same time, you would have been there within a minute of each other.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was gonna ask someone if they could
Yeah.
ask Woody.
Already did.
Okay. So,
That's good.
We came with four, we actually were loaded, we had 5 interior guys and a driver, so we were pretty loaded on the truck the first one.
Good.
So actually, on top of that, we had good save yesterday at a hospital house fire. Car under our carport, attached to a house, so minimal damage to the house and stuff. Actually off of Goose Creek Road,
Oh, okay.
Stone Falls.
Mhm.
We opened up Stone Falls Road. I don't know if it was open yet, 'cause I just got
It is now.
text today saying it was officially open.
Detour.
So it's just some time.
Is someone cooking a turkey?
So, and then we had unfortunately, we had the grass fire up at Skybrook, which cut off. We had an accident with a new truck. So,
Yeah, Crash Stanley, huh?
yeah, scraped the guardrail up by the last bridge as you go over the two 9-degree turns there. So,
Mhm.
How bad?
I had scraped from the front fender well all the way down to the back one. So,
So we really missed the corner. Jeepers.
So we're working through that with Megan and the insurance. And stuff.
Wayne is aware, you're not gonna hear the end of this.
Well, yeah. Wayne's also been told he's no longer has the privilege of driving any of the.
Oh, you did take his license away.
No, we took his privileges away. No, we did have a report done by the trooper. So
Okay.
there was an accident. So we'll wait to see what happens with that. Unfortunately, it is a fire truck, and some of that stuff is custom
Expensive.
made. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with it. So outside of that, we went from a high to a low.
Hey, Greg, what happens when, like, Perkinsville and those guys come on our hydrants? And then as far as those guys operating our hydrants, does the village, do the firefighters usually, our firefighters monitor that or not?
No, it's usually them. They're used to it. Most of them should have their own.
Hydrant wrench and
Yeah,
everything.
they're all their stuff, equipment there to run them and stuff like that. They shouldn't be doing any damage to them, I think. But yeah, they're just usually pretty much up to the mutual aid company to do that. Most of the time we whale on a hydrant anyway. Stuff. Is there any issues? Or
No,
just
no,
curious?
this always
Yeah.
scares me when I see it. I
I know.
stopped last night, there's Perkinsville's in there, they get
Yeah.
excited and they crank it down quick and then the issue started.
So that's all I have with it.
And that hydrant over on, in front of Babcock's would have been the best one to use. That's a 16-inch main.
I'm trying to get them out of the bigger one. Unfortunately, I was working, so.
You can point at somebody else, huh?
We're still working on our grant, it'll be filed by Friday, so.
Okay. We wish you well.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, Chief, no one else is here. Usually saves the best for last, but
Yeah, just, Tammy wasn't feeling well today.
So Shannon did get an award at the Legion on Saturday night for, they do a Legion Officer of the Year award, and obviously they recognized his had 2 life-saving circumstances, a heart attack and a Narcan issue, as well as more minor things, just simple things like pointed out that simpler things like he just organizes some innocent gatherings downstairs for lunch and things like that, where the guys can come in and kind of spend a little time together. That's not necessarily the stress of handling another case or going through another issue of some sort. So he's very involved in the Hometown Heroes banners and things like that. And he's done bunches and bunches of ambulance calls in the course of a year. And he doesn't involve himself in the stipend. He just does it because that's what he believes in. And obviously he does a good job downstairs. So that was nice that they put that together for him.
They'll keep moving up through the ranks, I believe. They'll go to the county next and keep going up,
Good.
I believe.
That's the way it used to be, I mean.
Yeah.
The new car, other than obviously the radio, looks like that's good to go. There's a faceplate that the company needs to send us that will be cut to handle the new radio once it shows up. So it sounds like Friday we've got to go to Genesee County and pick up a prisoner on a warrant. So we're going to try to grab the car and then on the way back grab the prisoner. So hopefully we're going to work on that through Friday. Started working through the personnel office and civil service on the list. Again, working through that some more, as long as it can gel with the people that are on the list. I started through that process, the second one on the back, see if I can get that squared away. The July fund check, we got that came in a couple days ago. Now what I did do, on the sheet we put together for the coordinator, when I asked the company to provide us with a duplicate equipment list that we had bought before, they did, which was good. The only thing we didn't do is take into account that part of that equipment list was actually provided in a grant from the state. So what I did is I adjusted this number by $1,295 for the computer and the mouse. So we spent $1,295 more on equipment, and that knocks down the enforcement part by $1,295. I don't see it as a big deal. So with that, that provides $5,300, a little over $5,300 for enforcement, for traffic enforcement. So we have to use that up by the end of March, preferably during better weather than not, because you have a better opportunity to be successful when there's not 8 inches of slush on the road. Basically at 20 weeks, it's about 7 hours of overtime a week that enforcement money will cover. So 1 week it might be 5, the next week it might be 15, depending on the weather, who we've got to go, and things like that. So unless there's any thoughts on why we shouldn't, I intend to start right in with that this week. You start using that this week. We did set up on Claire Barton Main Street last week for a little over an hour, I think, by the time Officer Whirley's back to work. So with that, he decided to upset my schedule and went out and arrested a guy that was selling cocaine. I don't know what he was thinking. So that kind of upset my schedule on the traffic enforcement, but we got out there after a little bit when that got squared away. And we got a couple tickets. It was kind of a lousy day. For the time we sat there, only 2 people used the crosswalk, and they were together. So it was one act of someone crossing the side of the crosswalk where someone could have violated the crosswalk. So I think I'd like to try to get in this Friday. So that's something we're going to do, as well as do the DUI enforcement, things like that. So unless anybody thinks otherwise, I intend to start using that overtime money sooner than later and try to get it used up during the good weather versus the dead of winter.
On that, the reporting was the other end of that. We gotta make sure that we're
Yep.
reporting.
Guys are already, they've got a book down there that they set up every crackdown. So that book's already set up, the pages are already in there, so we were already talking today. So, Chief, you want to use the same book? Yep, use the same book, it's the same process, same reporting. So they make copies of all the tickets, stick it in there, they keep track of all their hours, and then, yep.
Perfect.
All good.
Nope, as long as that's done, because that's the big part of the traffic, the enforcement is make sure that it's being reported good. So
Yep.
as long as you're on top of that, that's
That's
perfect.
all. And then, when I was out for my walk at 6:30 in the morning the other day, I got approached by our concerned citizen on the pike behind Moose Club, which he,
And I got a call today on that as well.
which he basically feels, and I give the guy credit. He's a thinker. He's like, it's a public safety issue. He says, and you're public safety, so I want you to be aware of this, and I want you to know that I noted that you've been notified. So I think, probably realistically, what we should do, and Mary, you can decide who you think is important to put into this, but I would suggest that maybe we get the necessary people together, and maybe we should actually have on a piece of paper, you know what you're going to do. You've already got it in your head. But but maybe it would be beneficial if we actually had a piece of document that said, in the event of this failing, here's the steps we're gonna take. So that he knows, we're on it, there's a plan, it's in place, and should it fail,
We're taking it serious.
we're taking it serious, and it's a valid concern.
I agree.
And we just put something down that, we put down whatever the emergency plan would be for that particular failure. I think it would be, just in case tomorrow we all wake up and there's thousands of gallons of water behind the Moose Club, you know, we've done our part.
Someone's gonna know right away, because they're gonna go down Main Street and their water's gonna be rushing across Main Street.
Depending what time of day or night it is, we.
But this
probably
is sort of a
want
preemptive thing, and not if there actually is one, but
to. Right,
just to
we've done our part.
assuage his
Yep.
his mind a little bit, his conscience about what's going on.
And I guess worst case.
Well, we've
scenario-
already started talking about it last week. I mean, we had Greg here, and we're taking a look at what we might do.
Did you let them know that we have discussed this now
I
in
did.
2 meetings?
Yep, I did, I told him, and he appreciated that, and he's just like, you know, but should that fail, the hospital's out of water, you know, he runs down his laundry list of stuff, and it's like, well, you know, I guess realistically, we should probably have a plan in place that we can just refer to in the event that we all of a sudden get the call in the middle of the night that, hey, not for nothing, there's thousands of gallons pouring out behind the Moose Club, what do we do before the erosion, the flooding, the lack of water? It's probably a relatively simple thing to put together, and if whoever's not in town at that given time, if it were to happen, the rest of us could grab that piece of paper and say, this is what we need to do.
That might be one item to look at for a grant. It's rather essential.
For repair out there, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if you think that there's an opportunity or time where we could look at together, that might, my suggestion is maybe we should just take an opportunity for however many of us need to be together, just to formulate that, write it up, and have it on file in Megan's office, so that, you know,
It's a good idea.
something silly happens, we don't have to rely on anybody's memory or,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
or absence to,
Yeah.
so. And he knows we're taking it seriously, which he already knows, he's been told by you and you and you that, and now me, that, and you, that we're all dealing with it, so.
Yeah.
Well,
He
apparently
got
he
my
called
house
John
couple
Shea,
times.
and John Shea called me this morning.
Here you go.
So we put that together, and I think would help. I don't know, I think I
Oh, that's a good
The only
idea.
thing is I was going through my phone and I went through, and there is a video, we discussed the side lighting on the new car. And there's a video that you can go through 1075 and look at a video of our new car and the lights. Have you seen that video? And I can share it with everyone here. It is very on the side when the lights are going. There isn't much on the side. So here's our car from the front. And there's our car from the side. One little beeper there.
I wondered how they're gonna mark that. For the
And
emergency
so
lights.
you can see how from the side that could be an issue at an intersection. Now,
Yeah.
seeing it done,
So I mean, it's still up there, I could hit them up to see what they're,
that's in the front, and you wait, when it goes to the side, you'll see that it's there's nothing really on the side.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're going through,
Just the blinker on the front.
in the daytime, it wouldn't be. If you're advancing, I look at it twofold, and I can pass this around in a minute. I look at it twofold. My car is the same way. I can make it through intersections, no problem, but sometimes it takes me a little longer. I guess it would come down to what does it cost for them side lights? And what are we willing to do? Because when I come up to an intersection, I stop, my siren's going. I've got the same little markers in the front, but mine are red, them are white, I actually like those better. And when everyone finally gets stopped, then I go. So I mean, go just looking at the video, you can definitely see on
Yeah.
that side that, you know, and it's something that, you know, moving forward, if we ever had another slick top, you just would know up front. But I just looking at that video through 1075, it's on YouTube. We seen it, I'll let you guys look at it, just so you guys can see. It could be deemed as an officer safety.
Why don't we take a look at the pricing on it and then get back to us on that, chief?
No, there's nothing on the side, so when you're going through an intersection,
Yeah.
there's nothing on the side to show, like, hey, there's a police car trying to go through this intersection, or, and I have had it, I've been in an intersection before with my car, And people don't know. They might hear a siren, but if the windows are up, they don't know, it's just a car. Now, if they see the reflection, they're still not gonna know that they're in an emergency status unless they can hear the. So I think as officer safety, we should probably look at that and see what we can do to get that taken care of. You know, if they.
Tomorrow and see what they might even have something in the shop that they have on the shelf that is that they get that product, yeah.
I mean, just looking at that video, I just wanted to bring that up because there is a video to actually see our car.
Yeah.
So it is working. I think it looks very nice. It's a great looking car.
Is that one ours?
That's our car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's our actual car. So that was all I had. So if you
Yeah,
know.
I'll find out tomorrow what they got, what it costs.
And I also heard there was another gentleman that moved into the village that's a 90.
It's possible. I think there is, yeah, no academy.
No academy.
Yeah, it's just the one I'm thinking of, I talked to him yesterday.
So do you think we'll have some movement by next month's meeting in December to hopefully know where we're at and what we can do?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Great.
I was gonna be brave and say the 31st, but no, I'm gonna say.
Go for the middle of the month.
Why don't we try to get
Actually,
something,
gonna shoot for the 4th of December to have more knowledge on it.
can we just try to have something back so we can kind of know where we're going before next month's meeting? And if you know, if you find something else beforehand, you can throw an email out in your daily, or whenever, you know, your thing.
You know, 'cause that was part of the conversation with him I had yesterday as to what our dilemma is, what we're trying to accomplish, and his success, but yet his need to accomplish a few more things. And, you know, he's getting, we got it, where I'm going at.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I'd like to talk about the daily, weekly, whatever reports. I think it's a waste of time. I can't see anything.
You're not going
I
to get the
can't
chief
see
to
anything.
disagree with you.
I can't see anything coming from it. I agree, you know?
Before he was even done.
You know?
You know, I'd rather spend the 15 minutes on something else, but whatever makes it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had a crosswalk accident down here the other night. Didn't hear nothing about it. We had an accident down
Yeah, I
there.
go say we heard
That
about
one
it
was
right
that
here.
person. You came in and told us that in person.
Well, and we had an accident down there. We had a situation down to the surface road and
That wasn't ours.
and nothing.
That was ours.
Well, we had an officer there, it was in the paper that Officer Gurley was there on scene. So, I mean, you know, what information we're getting.
Your daily arrests are in there, you know, and from them, and if there's any DOAs, you know, I mean, some of the little stuff, but sometimes we get questions about, oh, something happened and you wouldn't know. So I was just kind of trying to find a way to get a little more knowledge of what's going on so that we're not blindsided by something. But I mean, it's certainly the board's input on what they're looking for. I mean, I just didn't want to get blindsided on something that's easier to know than not know. You know, but then again, I don't want to take the chief's time up either. But, you know, it's what the board wants, because
Yeah.
sometimes you like knowing the information, because
Other thoughts?
Well, it's something major.
well, before we weren't
Make us
getting any
aware of it,
notification
but
on
other
anything.
than that, it's just like with Scott, he got a water main break, to let us know. I mean, if he's replacing a manhole cover somewhere, who cares? I don't say who cares as far as that goes.
Well, we could narrow down what you want to know. I mean, we
There
definitely
may
want
be
to.
opportunities, given the severity of the crime, or whatever the incident is, to expand on it a little bit. But for the most part, you know, keep it brief to the point, and that's informative. But there may be some other things where it just makes sense, given the severity, that maybe expand on a little bit, like, you know, what Dick just mentioned.
Well, if it was an accident,
That would be my only comment.
if it was something where somebody got hit, yeah, was it a fatality?
No.
you know what I mean?
And
So,
that's the thing, I guess.
something like that,
One person's
He looked in pretty rough shape the next day. I'll tell
He
you
did.
that. Yeah.
One person's level of importance is another person's, it is just another routine.
I understand that too,
Well, but again, like I said to Robin, we all knew about it that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't, and we had a
Right.
chance to ask any questions, I guess, and.
And probably,
Yeah, I know about it.
probably realistically, in my mind, I probably wouldn't have mentioned that pedestrian being struck, other than we were actually having conversations about crosswalk, it was just too weird. So from the standpoint of weirdness, I mentioned it.
Well, then you left our meeting, went to it, and came back.
Right.
Yeah,
But I do think anytime you have an injury in the community, the board should be aware of it.
Yeah.
Any injuries? I mean, the guy got knocked out in the bar.
No, but if you got some case where a guy was hit by a car, I think that's rather significant, even if he refused to go to the hospital.
Okay, I mean,
You know.
it's actually the guy in the bar, is it more of an injury than? the
Well,
guy
it
in the
depends,
bar?
I mean, it's a judgment call.
I would
Well,
never.
yeah,
I mean, but if a guy sprains his finger or something, I don't wanna
He's
hear
gonna
that.
judgment on the note.
My judgment's getting into question, so I just, it's hard to differentiate.
When in doubt, tell us.
I'm not no.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things, I remember, Charlie may remember, Norm and I had a call of a lady who was riding her bike, and the pedal caught in front of the brand new tops. She was scraped up, they took her to the hospital, within a half hour, 45 minutes, they called for a helicopter, was flying her into Rochester, and the next day, they called and said she had passed away
Yeah,
Right.
because of a brain injury.
I remember that.
But,
Yeah.
you know, with that said, it's a bike
We didn't
accident.
think of it.
Initially,
Yeah.
it's a bike accident,
Well, you
so,
mean, you know, and we're only
Well, that
asking
would be
at the end
something
of the
when after you
day.
get the call that she had passed away, then you put it out.
well, that
hey,
would be something.
There was a
I'm
bike
just saying,
accident the other
initially,
day, it started out as nothing much, but, you know, she succumbed to her injuries.
You know, the guy that, you know, he gets hit by a car, yeah, but.
See, what we did is we went from no notification, and then we pushed, we wanted to be notified. And I think there comes a point where we come back to the happy medium of saying, okay, look, we don't want to waste your time with piddly-ante junk. But if it's something that is of importance in the village, and would be important enough where you would discuss it or bring it up at a meeting, then it should be definitely be something that you could just throw out a quick email. So I think now what we do is we've taken the mast on the boat and we push the boat way over. Well, now we're going to try to come back to center and say, what are the things that we would like to know? So we lighten up on the fact that we don't need to know every little detail, but maybe a felony level arrest. You
I've
know,
been trying to base it on coffee cup conversation.
things you may hear
Pretty
about.
much, that,
Any DOA, I think we should
people are
know
gonna
about.
ask, people are gonna ask.
I think
that's what Dan's basing
I think you look at DOAs, substantial injury from something, you know, and if you find out like the lady on the bike 2 days later, well then you can always just put it out then, hey, this was nothing, but you know they succumbed to their injuries, and make it things that you would feel more relevant. But I don't want it to go to the point where it goes back where the ship's now on the other side going, is police chief still here? So I'm in occurrence of saying, okay, let's write it back a little bit and just, you know, we went from no notification probably to too much notification. And now we come back to a center stream of, you know, just notify us of what you would say, hey, you know what, I'll throw this in a quick email in the morning. I mean, is everyone in agreement with that?
Well, let's see what it looks like.
Does that seem better,
It
Chief?
seems like what I've been doing, but I will continue to try to tweak it.
Well, I'm saying that if your little arrest, a smaller arrest, it's nothing that's big, you can back off on some of that stuff.
Okay. Did I cover what Nick's looking for?
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. I don't want to add a lot of time to what you're doing, Charlie. I mean, if
Yeah.
it takes another half hour, you're spending too much time on it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
If it takes 5 or 10 minutes, fine. If it's taking another half hour, then reassess where you're at.
Is that good?
Keep chipping away, that's it.
Anything else for the police department? And did we end up getting ambulance, because I know that he was not here, did we get anything from the ambulance company in regards to the reports for this month?
No,
No.
No.
Because we know that,
not yet.
is there any way we can throw that somewhere so we make sure, I'll write
I
it
can
down,
send
hopefully.
them an email.
Well, just by next month, we don't want to have what happened in April, where we never got April's report until August, September, maybe it was October.
It was a while.
We just don't, you know,
Yeah.
so if you could, maybe just say, hey, we're just looking for it, we can transmit it. And other than that, we had, I don't think, do we even have village court report?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I just emailed them out today,
Okay.
About 4:30.
and Sheila did have them to me last week.
Okay,
I just
no, it's okay.
forgot.
Okay.
Human. All right, other than that, I think that, we're good.
Okay. Budget, finance, and audit, trustee Labar.
Okay, everybody should have received the, as I will restate it or rename it, deficit budget line report.
Did every, oh, yeah, go ahead.
Deficient.
Yeah, efficient budget line. And thanks again for Megan. I put it out, she annotates it and brings some clarity to why some of the items are where they're at. I will make note of just a few things on here. In the general fund, police ammo and supplies is at 5.2%. And I know there's reasons for the low percentage, you know, but again, I think it's important that we at least share with the department heads where some of the line items are relative to what was budgeted and what's remaining. Fire admin, Greg, is at 14%. The good news is it's at 14%, but it's the same as last month. But that's getting pretty low.
Well, ours are pretty much, our software is all due at the beginning of
Okay.
August, July, August, September, so.
So that may end with 14% of it? Very nice.
Yeah. Spend the remaining budget wisely. Not that you always do. You always do.
Anything the pluses are good, right?
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, if it's gonna end with 14%.
And
take
sometimes,
it
you
back.
know, when I reported something the previous month, when there's been no change, in the next month, I'm gonna put it on there, just let people know there's been no change. And maybe when there's been no change or minimal change over a 2 or 3 month period, then I'll remove it. Going down to the water fund, looking at valve replacement, that's at 2.9%. Cold patch and gravel is still at 7.2, that's no change from the previous month. If you look down at the sewer fund, sewer repairs, that's at 5%. And again, a lot of the other line items, due to what we had discussed last month, some of the budget modifications, and noting that there were some items that were that needed to be corrected as far as coding. Those are the things that kind of stand out on this report for me. Megan, do you have any comments, or anybody else?
You said the annual makes sense to you? The annual's an annual.
Oh, it makes sense.
Okay.
You know, but
Do you have any other supplies?
even though it's an annual line item, I still think it's important to let, you know, to share with people, and especially the department heads responsible for the line item, where they're at.
Typically, I would spin that in the spring for springtime qualifications, but I
Yep.
spin it in the fall because we have new guns, and I want the guys to be able to go out and shoot them.
Sure.
Get more comfortable
Yeah.
sooner rather than later.
I like this.
And your supplies are pretty, yeah, I
like
do too.
this. This is.
And
Your supplies are pretty good for
Much easier to
the year, if not, probably be able to find whatever we need.
Yeah, no, we're good there.
Okay.
I guess the question, Scott, would be like, I mean, as far as the valve replacement being at 2.9% and the water and the sewer repairs at 5%, as you look out into the future, is that going to be sufficient for the rest of the year, or we're going to have to bring in additional money or make, you know, some budget
Wait
mods?
and see, I guess, probably we'll have to.
Okay.
Swap some money around.
Okay,
Like you had it, like the highway labor, we haven't touched the labor in water or sewer, and actually that's Megan's and my issue that I guess I should direct you to take more out. Like this summer, basically, our laborers have been working on water and sewer pretty much the whole summer,
Mhm.
and we haven't touched those funds. So there's plenty of money there, it's just we dip it all out of the general, and not
Yep.
out of water and sewer.
okay.
That's why that shows so low.
Well, they're probably gonna be done soon anyways.
What's that?
They're probably gonna be done soon anyways, when they started. The seasonal people,
Right, but still,
yeah.
like I said, we should have
Right.
taken some out of water and sewer too.
Did
Because
we
it,
do
it makes it low for next season.
Did we do a due to and a due from not too long ago?
We did, and that was for the grant money that's coming in on the UV disinfectant. We had, even though the money's not in, we had to pay that to EFC. So the sewer fund borrowed from the
Waiting,
general fund.
waiting for the grant money.
And
I knew we did one, I just wanted to read it. 'Cause we
just
gotta-
remind everyone, we're going to request 75% of the grant money now. That's probably already been done for the UV, because we can't request 100% until that's done. And because they had the issue, it's gonna be, maybe a couple months before they can request the rest of the money.
Okay. Yeah, I just knew, I
That's that.
forgot what we did it for, but I knew we'd done one, so thank you.
Yep.
Do you have any comments, Megan, on budget and finance?
The only thing that I did want to mention is everyone probably saw my note on the visitor guide advertisement.
Mhm.
And none of us noticed when the bill came in. We paid it last month. And so this is good that you put this out, Dick, because we looked at that and I looked at the ledger and I thought that was kind of high. So I looked at last year's share of the ad and it was $212 less than it was this year. So that put that, where we lowered that line item this year because we don't do a lot of advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's gonna put us in the red. So I did call the chamber and I left a voicemail yesterday morning to try to see, I don't know if you know why the increase is.
Well, I missed a couple meetings, so no, I don't.
Okay,
Um,
okay, so hopefully we'll hear back on that, or, maybe it's an error.
Yeah, the treasurer is out of town right now. He's on vacation, I think in Florida. You could call Barry Haywood and ask him, but I'm not sure Barry would have all the details.
Okay, because what the share is we pay 1/4 of the ad, and that's what we did last year and this year, so that's a pretty big increase.
I think, as I recall back in the spring when they were talking about some of the guides, because there's different ones out there, that the prices were going up.
Okay. Okay.
But I won't swear that that's the explanation for that one.
Okay. And then the only other comment was for the police equipment. I didn't get to add it to this, but Charlie was telling me earlier I have to correct coding for, what was it?
Yeah, you used the codes I had, the codes I used for the stop sticks, while the stop money was in limbo. I took out equipment, so what we're going to do is change that code from the village equipment line to the DWI fund line.
Right, so that's good.
Okay.
So
That was
so about
caught.
2,100.
Put some money back in there.
Yep,
21.
back into the equipment line item, so, yeah, so that's good. I think we had talked about it before and then, I just forgot about it or whatever, so.
Okay.
And that's it, that's all I have for comments.
Are we all set on that?
Yeah, no, good job.
Yeah. very good.
Okay, let's move right into special billings, wastewater treatment plant, capital project with composting.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
So we're good with Austin then? Are we now in charge?
Yes. We got a signed contract back. Well, actually, is that good now, or is that at the first of the year?
It says it's the first of the year.
Yeah, first of the year,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Baynard, Pete Donegan for FMS, $3,070 and 20 cents. MRB Group for engineering services, $2,220. MW Controls for wastewater treatment plant improvements, $4,577.90 under the housing rehab grant. Cassie Underwood for 16 Park Ave, final payment, $26,575. Cassie Underwood for 29 West Ave, partial payment, $24,850. Toma Development for program delivery and administration services, $8,045.78. Move to pay the special billings. Move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Labar to approve the special billings. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Second from trustee Humphrey. Any discussion? Okay, trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Thank you.
Under bills, general account, paid checks number 15785 through 15791, 15793 through 15794, and 157,800. I'm sorry, 15800, correction on that. In the amount of $28,921.03. Audited checks in the amount of $105,052.46. The water account paid checks number 1012 through 1016 in the amount of $9,123.52. Audited checks in the amount of $19,431.49. And in the sewer account, we paid checks number 875 through 879 in the amount of $398,040.91. And we audited checks in the amount of $406,671.05. Move to approve.
A motion from trustee Labar to approve the bills in the general water and sewer funds. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Rittenhouse. Any discussion? Okay. Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
And trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Motion passes. And I'm an aye too,
I
so
was
it's
gonna say,
5-0.
what's the mayor? You're saying?
I don't have to, but I always do. 5-0.
Under ban and bond payments, December 24, 2016, rural development for water storage tank, Phase 1, $23,805 interest. Under MedX billing account payments, Livingston County EMS, $1,800. MedX invoice 2016-11, in the amount of $6,241. Patient insurance reimbursement, $65.84. Village of Dansville payment, $7,063.62. And Dansville ambulance payment of $10,595.44. Move to approve.
A motion from trustee Labar to approve ban and bond payments, or I should say the bond payment for December of 24th, 16, and MedX billing account payments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Whitenack. Discussion.
So MedX is gonna get, for that month, gonna make $6,200, and the village only makes $7 grand? Is
Yeah,
MedX is high there?
It's based on how many claims they bill, not the money that's coming in. So how many claims they billed that month. And I do keep the numbers on the spreadsheet. I could start putting them on here too.
It's just kinda weird, because it looks like Livingston County EMS making a good chunk, but it must be not a lot came in, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It looked for what we paid for them to administer it, it just looks like our numbers are kinda low, cause
It
just
is,
looking at the numbers,
I think you'd have to probably take a look at the cumulative
yeah, I
numbers.
mean, there might be a
Right.
lot that'll come in next month, but,
right, because I think like last month there was like half of that. You know, it just depends on how many bills they're sending out.
so next month, hopefully we see a spike on our end.
Right.
But you
Yes.
kinda watch that?
Mhm.
You said you got it on a spreadsheet?
Yep.
Okay, as long as someone's following it, just, they looked out of sorts for what
Yeah,
we
do
spent.
you guys want, I haven't given out a copy of that in a long time. I do it via email because there's so much information on it. Do you guys want me to send that out?
Probably not.
No? Okay.
As long as you have an eye on it, it just looked in comparison, it looked off. So we'll just let that.
It does look odd not to bring it up.
Well, and next month we'll hopefully see something different, or else, then we'll maybe look into it or whatever, but
Right.
if you,
Okay.
I see what you're saying, they could have billed a lot. we
I
just
feel
haven't
comfortable with it.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other comments, discussion? Okay, trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Labar.
Aye.
Trustee Whitenack.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Public Works, Water and Sewer, trustee Humphrey.
I don't have anything other than for Scott, Your Honor.
Not much on the sewer side to really talk about. On the water side, we
chlorinated the line on Austin Street today. That's set for 24 hours, and blow it off, test it, and that'll be up and running. Did a few other odds and ends on it. I have another day up there, and then I'm pretty much done for this year, complete.
There's water and sewer.
Want to talk about the one sewer issue or water issue?
You got that later, don't you?
I think I do.
Yeah, you got it on a new business.
New business,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we can move right along then.
Or we can do it now, doesn't
Now, we'll wait till we get down below. Alrighty, streets, trustee Whitenack.
And I guess we got to the streets.
Pretty much leaves right
I
now.
was gonna say, leaves are catching it right now.
So you better get them this week.
How late do
Next
you
week
usually,
doesn't look good.
yeah, how long does it usually go? Like,
It usually takes a month to do it, and we got started pretty much, this is the first really full week with 2 crews, but they just have them still on the trees. It's
Yeah,
gonna
right.
be ugly if it's still
Yeah.
snows,
Yeah.
and then the week of Thanksgiving, I have like 3 guys off, so that makes it tough. So, probably Pete and Charlie have to pitch in there.
I know how to go for on the brush. I can go for on the-
But they're out.
Can't say anything.
let's try to keep it to the highway department. We heard enough last time.
I did
I'll
get,
drive the truck.
Yeah, you have to get in line on
Find this a
that
little harder than what happened to Wayne.
I got a bad back.
we get the back goes up, it's not fun. We did get 4 of the lights on Main Street fixed today, so.
Yeah, I got the peanut gallery comment on that. She was very happy.
It just worked out that this is the first chance we've had to do any of this.
I understand.
It kind of, also thinks.
But it doesn't do me any good to just tell them, say you're busy.
No, I,
Yeah, yeah.
but, you know, unfortunately, we've been busy. I mean, she came up on the job site 2 weeks ago, you know, we're paving. She went up about her sign. I mean,
Did you get
tell
the
these
sign
10
in?
trucks to go home.
Well, the pole's over there. Now, how's that gonna work? You gonna take another pole and slide it down inside that?
No, that is the hole.
Oh, okay.
And then the sign fits right over that hole.
Oh, it has a cap on top of it, fits over, or?
Yeah, yeah, it's molded, the sign's all one piece.
Yeah.
It has a molded
Okay,
base, with 4 set screws on it.
all right,
So probably tomorrow we'll put that on.
all right. That's good.
Fix the light.
You screw it on, or?
Yeah, it's with set screws with Allen wrenches, I don't think anybody would bother. At least I hope.
Pretty heavy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they popped off one of those name badges off the benches.
Yeah, I had that down in the
Oh,
shelf.
you got it. Oh, okay.
You got the original one?
Yep.
That's your bench, isn't it?
Yeah.
So one is gone or
Actually,
one isn't gone? I mean, one's stolen.
There's just
not-
one gone, right?
Yeah, I was over there today, there's only one out.
Right.
That's the one in the back towards Herm Hilliers.
Yeah, and we have the,
Gone is the stolen.
No, he's got it.
Oh, okay.
He's got it.
All right, so I wanted to get goes up.
I thought it had been
There was
stolen
one
too.
stolen, Jamie replaced it.
Oh, okay, so you probably don't.
So we're good, now we have all the signs.
Yeah, you come across it in one of these houses, you have to raid
Well, it's one of those
sometimes.
things, if you know it's gone, and somebody comes in and says, hey, I was up in so-and-so's bedroom, he's got this plaque that says, if you don't know it's gone, you think, God, whatever he's talking about, he's drunk or high. But if you know it's gone, then you take it more seriously and go get it back.
You was drunk or high.
Or both.
In this town, any of those are good ones. Okay,
The wall, we approved the guy to be doing the thing, when was
Yeah, and
he?
he's coming, yeah, actually he says he's gonna get started next week. He's gonna come in on Thursday to pick up that check.
We approved, I think Sam Vogt was
Sam
saying.
Vogt.
Right.
He was to do the,
Really.
Railing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The only thing we really
Was the
need to decide.
prepayment approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we
yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
thought we did, because whatever we had to do to get that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna give him 50%.
Right. Yeah.
I put that on your sheet in the office. If you
Okay.
noticed.
Yeah.
The color of the railings, black,
Black sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
that way it's easy to touch up in the future.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a decorative thing, not like the pole, the pipe type of thing.
Yeah, pipe type.
before. Oh, it is?
Yeah, just inch and a quarter.
pipe
white.
type itself is like $8,000.
Oh, well, no, story pipe.
And it's all gonna be wrought iron.
Sorry, I blew up.
We had one estimate, Robin, 24,000, so we didn't.
Well, it was low until they knew they had to put it in.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, we didn't want to build it. So I just wanted to make sure that was in process because,
Yeah.
especially before the snow gets flying, we like to have that.
Well, he's gonna, like I say, concentrate in getting the stairs opened up for us, so that'll be good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like,
I don't know if you noticed over there, one of the barrels is off the sidewalk down there, and,
I fixed it tonight on my way home myself.
okay.
It's back up.
I don't know if someone pushed it off, which I think, because I went by there one night, and there were a couple girls, how they got on the inside of the fencing, I don't know, but they were jumping off the wall to
Oh, really?
continue walking on down the street, and I said, well, how'd they get in there to begin with, because it's all fenced off?
No, I didn't put any fencing.
So my guess is that somebody knocked it off. I can't say they did it, but,
It'll be nice to get the railing on.
Yeah.
Too bad it's taking this long.
Well, you can't really get anyone lined up to put the railing on until it's done.
No, you couldn't.
I mean, so anyone that's, you can't prefab something until it's built, it's done because it's,
well, everybody out there is an engineer.
Yeah, and I gotta say, that wall, that whole system down there, it really looks great.
yep.
And I haven't heard one person say anything bad about it.
And it's gonna be
Price,
great when that
about-
railing is up and done, it's gonna look
Yeah.
beautiful. But, and people ask me, hey, what's going on with that? I go, you can't manufacture a railing until it's done, and then then you gotta get prices, and then there's policies that we gotta go by. And you just can't say, hey, go do it. There's a process to this stuff. People are like, oh, I never thought of that. I'm like, believe me, we want it done as bad as anyone else. It's our village as well. We care, but there's a procurement policy we have to follow, and we're gonna follow it to the best of our ability.
And state auditors are gonna make sure we do.
Yes, because they're here now, and they're very happy with how we've been doing with the procurement policy.
Updates we didn't get on the audit.
There really isn't an update. He wasn't here today. He
No.
called. He said he's not going to be here tomorrow. They have some more training they have to do, and he had a couple other audits he has to wrap up. So I asked him again yesterday if he had heard back from Stephanie on, what area they were going to audit, and he was like, "You're pretty eager, aren't you?" And I was like, "Well, no, not really. I'm just curious." So maybe next week, maybe at the end of next week. Who knows?
I'm willing to take a bet, though, I know whose area is gonna get in that.
I don't know, everything he's asked for, I've been able to give to him, so.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, yeah.
Tammy hasn't got anything to worry
Yeah,
about,
I mean,
so.
we have been able to provide him with everything that he's asked for. So
Good, yeah.
maybe he'll just pack up and
Be-
go home.
Could be the chief.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good conversation, and I was pleased to hear they wanted to go through the evidence room. So
Mhm.
they're like, when do you want to do it? I'm like, I want to do it now, because I don't want any suggestions that I had time to do anything, so I'd rather go right now. They're like, oh, all right, well, sounds good. So I dragged them down there and said, there's the books, pick your
Drag
poison.
them.
You dragged them.
Yeah, I mean,
You good? You just walk.
That's why we haven't seen him lately, he's being locked up.
He's in the evidence room.
what's that?
Yeah, he's in the evidence room.
Still in there, yeah. So I just, there's the wall of books, knock yourself out, pick the ones, and, because we joked about it, I said, 3 minutes or less on every piece. And so she's sitting there stopwatching me. And even the one thing that was thrown in the box for future destruction that I had to dig through the box for was still under 3 minutes. So they're happy. To my face, anyway, so,
Yeah.
That's a plus.
yeah.
Good.
Seems that way anyway. They say it's what they're saying, no bad vibes,
No.
but then you never know.
He did tell me that once they get into the full swing of things, because
They've been here for 2 months.
they really have gone pretty easy on us. He might ask me for some things like a day or two out of the week. He's not on me every day. And he said that will change. Once they get into the full swing, then we'll start feeling what everybody
Feel the
says
heat.
that we will feel.
How long are you gonna be here?
Long as they want.
Yeah. I mean,
What's the answer, John?
several months.
It is.
And
But where
But
does
they're not
the
here-
audit turn into
they're not
something
here
that's
every
more of a?
day.
Disciplinary.
Well, yeah, I mean, where's the audit turn into more of a a drag on the,
Throwing.
yeah, you know, I mean, provide you whatever you'd like.
Well, I mean, it's worked out good for me because I've been able to maintain my day-to-day. You know, if they came in and
Yeah, it hasn't been a
if
big
they were-
onus on us at
No,
all.
it hasn't, but if they were here every day asking for information, I mean, the auditors that we hire are a bigger pain because they, you know, they wanna come in for 3 days and get everything that they need and then go back to
Do
their
they
office.
look at the stuff that the auditors that we already utilize use?
They do, yep, they asked for their last 2 reports. And obviously, we don't even have the report from Freed Maxic from
Bless
this
you.
last audit they did, so as soon as we have that, we'll pass it along. So,
But you could also do the
we gave them,
Bonadale group too.
last year, they're not interested in going back further.
Okay.
So, you know, and then remember that they're doing their audit from 2014 forward, so
Mhm.
that's, you know, information that they're pulling on different purchases, and they are looking at all of our different policies. He called up today and said, hey, do you have computer passwords, you know,
Yeah.
and that type of thing, so even though he wasn't here, he's still asking questions. But they did warn us that they had started like a new reporting program on their end. So our audit's gonna take longer than like what a typical audit takes because they're learning something new.
Well, you pulled stuff in my office from 2002.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, in the others, so, that's all that is.
Huh, no kidding. You know, and they came in, when they started, they come in, they have you pull your cash drawer, they count your cash drawer, and, you know, you have to set, we all did it. Charlie did it, Karen did it, I did it. You know, and then they had to have meetings with every department head, and they had to have us pull a stack of vouchers and go through those, and,
We had a meeting with you and me.
you know, so for the time they've been here, I feel that they are being productive. But yeah, it'll be probably several more months.
Doing things, you know, right, or thinking that we're doing it right, no harm done. Just go on with the procedure.
And they did
I
say
just
that,
wonder where it becomes cumbersome, like,
Right,
We
well,
got a
like
business
Megan,
to run
like
here.
Megan said, you know, you got things to do, Charlie's got things to do, and
But
that
is
takes
that-
away from
yeah.
their day-to-day stuff, and what we're asking for on a day-to-day basis.
but I'm actually complimenting them because they could come in and demand stuff every day, but
Sure.
they don't. You know, they are very understanding. If you don't have time right now, you can do it later, you can do it another day. Obviously, you have to do it, but they are very understanding.
Wait a minute, you're governor too.
And this auditor,
You're president-elect.
I see push shows in my house over that comment.
Well, I can tell you something.
I know you can.
But we won't because it'll be on the recording. I don't want to make this into a political affair. Okay, where are we?
I had, before we move on to the
Sure.
next topic, Megan my attention was brought up last week about when the moratorium was.
Mhm.
We removed the
Yep.
water bills from private, or from businesses that had homes,
Mm-hmm.
or in their home rather.
Yeah.
It was May 17th of last year, 2016. That was last May.
Okay, so and
We've
that was
got
what,
till
for a
May.
year?
So we've got until,
Mhm.
hey,
yep,
So we need to move along.
now when that moratorium's done, can you redo the
Did you
moratorium?
redo it? I guess I was wondering.
It's dicey.
As long as we're
Yeah,
working
it's
on it.
questionable. I remember reading someplace, they don't advise it. Moratorium is only supposed to be temporary. And even if you go out a year, you're pushing your luck with it. I mean, it's not uncommon for it to be a year, but they don't really like to see it more than a year.
Even though we're working on the water and sewer bill laws now.
I guess we just got a deadline for them.
Well,
We're waiting
we-
on,
Very exciting.
On
Want to
those
send
guys.
email, Bill, or not me to?
you can go ahead, tell them. Town the board's asking questions.
It'll be on us pretty quick.
They've already asked you, and now Robin over is causing trouble. No, I'm glad you did. Glad you brought that up.
Yes, thank you, Maggie. Robin was like, what is this?
Well, I Megan was talking to me, and I was like, I didn't wanna, be rude, so.
Didn't want to be.
Well, we're used to it around here. Anyway, anything else? Under Parks and Rec, Trustee Whitenack, or you want me to just go ahead and,
Go ahead.
yeah, all righty.
Yep.
Because of the holidays and everything, I've sort of put off the November Parks and Rec and Beautification Committee meeting. I'm going to try to get everybody somewhere, probably the first part of December. That way we won't have another one until probably the latter part of January. Just to give you a heads up what's happening there. Williams Park Living Welcome Sign. I actually met today with Jim Sauerbear on that. And he did give me a estimate of what it would be. Now I just have to find out what pile I put it in. I know I've got it here. Oh, Lord, love a duck. Anyway, you take a look at it there. I'm not going to fuss around with all this stuff, but that's not it. And that is for a sign that is roughly 41 feet long and 10 feet in depth. It'd be on the end of the parking lot that's down there at the Williams Park, facing towards the bridge. And unfortunately, although we were getting the cheaper bushes, which is the privet, not the boxwood, they've doubled in price since last year. He's interested in getting, our feedback here as soon as possible because it will take a while to get all this stuff ordered from wherever he can find it. He gets most of his supply from Minnesota, so it would be hardy stock, unlike getting stuff, say, from Pennsylvania, south of the mountains, which won't necessarily hold up to our winters. Right now he's looking at 151 plants, maybe about 12 inches high. Of course, the privet grows pretty quickly. It might take a couple of years for it to actually get the shape you want, but you're going to keep it low. We could do it one of two ways, but initially I would say just go with the ground cover around it, set it off. Let's see,
What's the height of it?
the height would be about 12 inches when we cut it. I mean, that'll be up to us, but you don't want it to get too high.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not really going to be able to see it because
Yeah.
it's always going to grow vertical, even on the side. I mean, you can plant a vertical, or at an angle, but it's going to grow straight up. So you want to keep it downward. It makes some sense. And a privet is generally what they use for things like this.
Now, where is this going to go?
The new parking lot, or I shouldn't say the new
Between
parking,
the
but the
parking lot.
expanded parking lot down there on the end of it that faces towards the bridge over the creek.
Now, are they going to cut some of that on the creek, like from the bridge? Like, so if you're coming up around that,
It doesn't
Wait.
need to be.
but if we cleared some of that, then you might be able to see it from farther away. I'm just wondering how far it's going to stretch around to be able to see.
Well, the way it is
I
right
see
now,
what
you
you're
should be
saying.
able to see it completely because it's sort of squared off. It's not a round.
As soon as you come around that corner.
We could clean it up there,
If we put the footbridge in, we get that.
yeah, but you're still going to have the brave, the braver and the sign there. It's still going
They
to
don't
block it
really
stuff.
bother.
But that
It's the
would make some
vegetation
nice-
about it.
You
Yeah.
see it for a short distance, and if we light it, then it'll look real nice.
Yeah.
But let's say the cost right now we're looking at is $5,271, but that's cost, labor, materials, everything. He said he could probably thin it out a little bit because right now they're, once they grow up, I mean they're about a 12-inch wide plant right now, and they're going to be in about 18 inches apart center to center. So you could thin it some.
So they're preferring to put privet in?
privet ends, what he recommends.
Boxwood.
Yes, he says the boxwood is much more expensive.
Also not privet.
Yeah, well, see, well, I thought when we were told previously that the privet was the more expensive.
You get my point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's a higher quality route than a...
Who's gonna maintain it?
that's
by the
what,
time
I know it
it's
says.
done?
Well, we could do it one-
guarantee, But what happens after that?
I can trim it.
I just wondered what.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. Doesn't make any difference in my idea anyway, so why not? I mean, sprucing up the entrances anyway. But, you know, well, that'll come down to the budget too, because we want to have a couple people this year to do all the mowing that we have to do in this community. And not just pulling somebody off the street crew to do it. I mean, you only need seasonal workers for this, so you don't have to pay them a whole lot of money, no benefits. But that's something we'll talk about budget time.
Now, go ahead.
So I heard you correctly, there's going to be actually a physical sign there.
Look
And
at-
what's the material, what's the sign?
No, the sign itself
Right.
is the plan, or the plan.
The
Here,
plan?
yes,
Yeah, do you have a,
that's the diagram of what they look
Okay.
like.
It's like a miniature version of the can of steel,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A living sign, yeah.
right?
So my
Yeah.
next question, then, where I was headed with this was, and I don't know the distance, but where the welcome sign is technically well into the village. And could something else fit in there, like Dansville? Could you, and Dansville's more letters, but my question is just more of, like can of steel is can of steel, it's showing your, well, you know, can of steel, and they're doing a bunch of work to that from what I hear.
Yeah, they
Getting
replanted,
that
trimmed it
replanted
up,
and everything.
because it
Well,
got
would
let go
something,
for,
would Dansville fit in there? Because, just devil's advocate to say, you're well into the village now, you're like a half mile into the village almost, quarter mile, 3/4, 3/8, but would a Dansville, we're the village of Dansville. Just wondering if that was something that could fit in there.
The property, when you get off 390, who is the lady that owns it? Or that lives up on the hill, hospital owns it now, right? You know where I mean now. When you get off 390, you would run right into the bank.
Where's that?
doesn't the hospital own that now?
Mrs. Ezerine, and that was her property, and then the hospital bought that.
Yeah.
The hill there,
Yeah.
I mean, would that be something that
Well,
the
have you
hospital would
seen
be
the-
willing to?
The sign that they put up there on 390 that says "I love New York" up there,
Yeah,
and I thought about that even down in that one by the hospital, because that's a mat
yep.
that they clear out and they put the mat up there, and then the mat is what you see. It's really, it's nothing you got to do to it after that point other than mow around it. And even thought, something like that down the road, like welcome to Dansville or whatever. I just, when I see welcome, I'm thinking, well, you're well into the village when you see that living sign. Would Dansville fit?
Well, what we had thought about, committee did at one point, was to have a larger sign like the one that's right down by the exit itself, a wooden sign that would have Dansville on it,
Right.
and then have the welcome in the hedge format.
if they have
When you
one
put it
that you
together in
enter
stages,
a can
Yeah.
of steel, can we get,
Put one right up here on the side of the hill.
can we get a picture or something of that? I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
Something maybe
What
it's
about pine
on-
trees?
online, I'd like to see what,
I was gonna say, aren't those
if they
trees,
got
those
one,
are
it-
pine trees, right?
Yeah.
if they have one, it'd be good, it'd be nice just to see it.
Yeah, it's good size, it's not the,
Oh, it's huge. It's bigger than the landing or the takeoff zone up there where,
Yeah.
I wonder if you can see it from Google Maps.
yeah, because over the years, in the last decade or two, the trees have died out.
It was in the
Yeah.
Tribune, somebody put some money into all that, fixing it all up.
Been there since, I'm not sure, what, 40s, 50s, somewhere
I
in
thought
that
it was
time.
or the late 30s.
Could have
I
been.
thought it was like
Could have been.
1938 or something.
It's been there as long as I can recall.
So 1938.
Yeah.
Well, I don't recall that far back.
Oh, okay.
But you get to 47 and it stops. Not so sure I remember much about 47 either. Not the fun part of it. Feelings mutual. Doesn't mean you won't stab you in the back, though.
Well, I found a can of steel.
That's good.
We know it's there.
Whatever.
One thing it would do, Scott, is would require from us is some topsoil, about a foot thick. I figure between leaves and,
You wouldn't want to use the leaves, and we can't put too much of the compost in either, because it's,
no, I understand that.
actually, we're out of topsoil, we have zero topsoil left. We pile up there like this tall. I can get some more from the Mellenbacher farms, and I actually was gonna get some, but just ran out of time. So, that's probably what we'll have to do, is get, actually, there's some at the airport, too, I we can talk to the town.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get some for those guys.
All right.
But yeah, that's, definitely needs more work on the end, and needs to get it shaped up, so we want it.
Yeah, yeah.
How are we gonna see it if it's down there at the end of the parking?
He's saying where it kind of slopes over is what I'm thinking?
Yeah, it's where your face is right in the road, you can't help but see it.
Yeah.
Can't miss it.
I
The
know
the
how-
bank, the bank
I
is
know
like
how it
this.
drops off there, I know
Yeah.
that.
It'll be right on that face.
Yeah.
As long as somebody maintains it, that's the whole point. So maintenance.
Especially if it grows quick. Gonna need it more than,
Couple shots a year.
What was the box, what was the price on that?
I didn't get a price on that.
Okay.
He didn't even recommend it.
You did.
No. He was surprised when he found out that the privet had gone up like it had, doubled in price.
Yeah, even the privet or anything you buy now is quite expensive. The privet is hardy, but it doesn't last forever. It will die out over time, especially if you have harsh winters.
Well, this should be in pretty good shape, primarily because it comes from Minnesota.
I don't disagree with you.
what would it
I
do
got
on there?
local
My
privet
question
back
is,
in my
we
house,
dump a
and,
lot of snow in that parking lot
Mm-hmm.
that has, would have salt in there and it all, seeps out. Would that have any effect on that at all?
Probably wouldn't be able to dump it down there.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Let's stay away from the very end. We could certainly, there'd be plenty of room to dump it in other spots, though. It's pretty porous when you think about it. It's got enough rock in there, concrete.
Is there money in the budget for something like this?
Well, let me check here.
There's money in the parks budget right now.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the parks that we need to in the spring? Upgrades, anything?
That's probably looking more at the summertime anyway. That wouldn't be so much in the spring. Okay, in the parks, you've got
I would like to look into that.
I would too.
contractual improvements. I guess that would be under, and that's 20,000. This year. I don't think we've used a bit of it, have we?
We can
There's
sell
15 remaining.
15 remaining? Okay.
Plus, that's where we're gonna take the railing for the wall out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's,
That still leaves you a chunk, though.
leaves enough to do your sign.
We have basketball hoops and things that gotta be replaced too, yeah.
Yes, the
Where?
backboards, actually, pretty much all the parts until you get. Well, like you say, it's gonna be next year before you.
Yeah, we'll be into the year before we really get to everything. I mean, the spring is out of this year's budget.
When would he start that?
April.
So, new budget doesn't take effect till June 1st, so
Yeah.
that's only sent his bill. I mean, I'm sure he's gonna want some money to go buy all the
Mm-hmm.
material.
Yep.
So what anyone else thinks? Is there any way to lay it out down there on, like with some
Paint?
paint or something, so you can kind of have something to look at to say, okay, I see the angle you're looking at. I mean, because when I looked at that, I just see it going kind of around that way.
Mhm.
You know, I can see what you're saying. I just would like to, I don't know. Not against it, because I mean, it's beautification of our village.
What was the dimensions again?
The sign in depth would be 10 feet, it'd be 41 feet roughly in width.
Yeah.
That parking lot kind of slopes down. Will that ever come up and be a level, or will it always have that slope?
Well, we sloped it off because we're trying to get a blend of sidewalk into that. You know, if we pulled it way up, now we build a wall, and we gotta retain it or do something to it. So, that's why it's rolling off as it is. And it's shedding water kind of two ways.
Yeah.
We just don't want it to shed too much of that water towards the
Actually
privet.
not, it's actually going both ways behind it. It doesn't really run over the face of that, it goes around both ends.
Is this privet something that needs a lot of water?
It will the first year or two, you know. They'll get, because it'll be bare root. And if you've got bare root, they don't have the root system that potted stuff has.
And this, we put lighting up for this and everything?
Yes.
So try to keep kids away from it, from going down there and wrecking it?
That is the goal. Like I say,
So we got
you're gonna
the
do
need
this,
for
you're gonna do it in stages.
That's what you said about the sign and stuff, you can
Yeah.
do it in stages.
Mhm.
Is
there
this
is-
a committee recommendation?
Yes.
I don't know, personally, I'd like to go down and spend a little more time on site looking at it. And it's one thing to discuss it here and just seeing it for the first time, but, you know, just go down and take a closer look at it. And
Because it hasn't really been final graded, and we talk about it,
No,
but
it's
that's
not.
definitely not been.
to get a better idea of, you know, what we're looking at.
If you come across the bridge, just come across the
Yep.
bridge and.
Look to the right.
And look at it,
To the right.
yeah,
Yeah, I know the area there.
yeah, yeah.
But
I like the idea.
I still, since it's just mentioned this evening, I haven't given it any thought, like, would like to do that.
I like the idea, I just think we need to get the other parts, like we have, like basketball hoops and all that stuff back in order and get everything set and then move forward on it.
Now we got the sidewalk, we gotta put it down there, and that bridge extension, get the sidewalk in.
There's a lot of work.
But,
It's a good idea, I think it looked nice.
And if it's something you really wanna do, we should really think about probably getting some topsoil here. Because, you know, in April, sometimes you don't go out in fields and scrape it up and lay it down and put it in. That'll be, you know, he wants to get in early, which is the right
Yep.
thing to do.
Yeah.
But, you know, you gotta have it ready. I wish it wasn't, you know, pushing on December.
do we have to get a second bid on that?
No, I don't think. I think it's just a straightforward, isn't it?
For that, you have to get a second quote.
Yeah.
For the roll.
Yeah, it is over 5,000. Just over.
I'll make sure we're staying inside that procurement policy.
We can check with, there's nobody else local. I can tell you that right
I was
now.
gonna say, who else is there? That's the
No,
only one
there's
I-
nobody local. We'd have to go outside the area.
We should always get us someone from maybe Farrell's, they plant stuff maybe, they have lawn service.
What about Lang's?
Flames are more food.
Yeah, I know that's before them, but they did the memorial down there.
Need a bid.
If they couldn't do it for you, they could maybe make a recommendation on where to go for a second one.
There's also Marcus is over there, they go out there
Right,
too.
yeah, right.
They won't do it full. They install a lot of it, I don't know. if they-
They're the ones over there on the corner there to turn off the cancerator.
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go along with Rob, and I think we need to take a look at what's needed and, you know, the parks that are currently out there, and just factor in what needs to be done, what the cost is gonna be, and see what's remaining, and it doesn't mean it's gotta be in that line item, obviously, you know, we've worked outside line items before, it's not
Maybe Abbott's
nothing
got
we
somebody
can't
to
deal
do
with,
something.
but
Yeah, you could do something.
Just an idea.
You know, bro.
Yes, you are missing something. And we're not gonna repeat it.
We're just thinking local.
Locally, Abbott's maybe, they're right there, transportation costs would be low.
No,
I'm just saying,
Thinking out of the box.
exactly.
Unbelievable. Sometimes it is unbelievable.
well, we'll get it,
Unbelievable.
we'll see what we can get then.
We got trees.
Fruit trees.
Glad this isn't videotaped. Maybe we should go to videotaping. Might get a little more serious environment here.
Are you serious? Wait a minute.
Definitely. Okay, we'll move right along. We already talked about Pioneer Park Historical Marker. And under technology, nothing. So now we're down to unfinished business. We had a proposal last month, actually it was last week, on the stormwater pollution prevention plan proposal from MRB. What was that? I'm trying to remember what the amount was, 14,000, yeah.
Yeah,
We discussed it, what, a couple of,
right,
Last week we were talking
Yeah.
about.
and then before that, too, we
yeah,
discussed.
right, yeah.
I don't know if I was ever voted on that.
No.
There's a voucher in the bill this month.
Hmm.
I guess I signed up.
But we have to approve it, so might as well,
You gotta do it, right?
you gotta do it, but might need a motion then.
Motion approved.
A motion from trustee Rittenhouse and a second from trustee Humphrey. Discussion. Not hearing any. Trustee Whitenack,
Aye.
trustee Labar,
Aye.
trustee Rittenhouse,
Aye.
trustee Humphrey,
Aye.
and the mayor's and I. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Good to
Yeah.
have you back, Robin.
Thank you.
It's good to be back.
Not that this really says anything, because it doesn't, but I'll hand it over to you anyway. Here's the second one. This is just the court audit. I'm vouching or certifying that I did it and found no problems. And if you agree with it, I'll entertain a motion so I can go ahead and send a letter to the court, the justice office, or what they call court administration.
So moved, so moved.
Okay. Got a motion from trustee Humphrey, second from trustee Whitenack.
Sold.
Discussion. It was a tough one. Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Labar.
Aye.
Trustee Whitenack.
Aye.
And the mayor is abstaining, just because I did it. Okay. You got that, Megan, that I abstained? I don't know if I should or not, but I just went ahead and did it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Living on the edge.
All right. Now, I also have here, copies of the radio plan,
Oh, yeah.
or agreement, I should say, from county department. It only says the fire department. You're not getting any, chief?
They sent me something, I started to read it twice and haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're getting stuff.
It's only, this agreement's only, well, it says between the county, but it only mentions the fire department on here. But,
This one, which one? I was gonna say this one here, it says law enforcement.
does it?
Yeah.
Where did I miss that?
First paragraph.
Yeah, emergency
Second
communication. Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, it does, I'm sorry.
Fire emergency.
The agreement itself, this fire department.
No.
Okay, well, we can work around that, I'm sure. It's emergency communication, so. And the agreement itself, I didn't bother to make a copy of, it's just, it's summarized on that second sheet that you have. And then it has a bunch of attachments which mean absolutely nothing to me. Portable Model A2, mobile dash mount, control station, all of that stuff. I mean, it means something,
So
but
what are we gonna agree to? I mean, we're just getting this one in sum and substance, what are we agreeing to?
We're agreeing to enter into an agreement with the county who's paying for it. And we have to maintain it, we have to maintain it, we have to keep accountability, it belongs to the state no matter what. So if they ask for it back or they come in and have an inspection, we can't say, they've gotta, we
So my
gotta.
question is if we don't, what happens?
Basically on a loan basis, so they loan it to us based on this agreement, and if we don't agree, they just unloan it, pay it back.
And then what do we use?
Nothing. Rocks, fire.
So what we've already purchased now, we've already purchased stuff to have.
We haven't purchased anything.
No, I'm saying the stuff that's in our car.
Oh, that's stuff that we already have purchased over the years past, yes. We own that, that's ours.
I mean, the way I didn't
Yeah.
realize we had to enter into an agreement on an upgrade that we're being forced to do.
This is,
Yeah.
these are for their handhelds and stuff, aren't they?
What's that?
Aren't these for the other radios that we're getting, the new ones?
Stuff that they're
The
gonna
new
give
stuff.
us is they want, basically, I think,
They're gonna loan us.
they're gonna loan us. That basically outlines that if we choose not to use it anymore, or whatever, then it's theirs, they take it back. We can't sell it, we can't say 5 years from now, we're gonna upgrade to this radio and we're gonna trade this one in, because it's not ours to trade in. It's theirs.
Now that's the base and all the, like, antennas on the roof, all that.
It'll be the base stuff in the basement, it'll be the portables, it'll be the car radios, and it'll be a radio that's in the office.
Based on what you know, is there any reason why we shouldn't move forward and approve this?
I'm thinking there's probably nothing that we could argue with that would matter. So, I started reading it twice, I'm sure when I get through it, it's just gonna be basically a loan agreement. They loan it
That's
to
all,
us.
that's really all it is,
That's what
yeah.
it was,
I don't
yeah.
understand why we gotta agree to this when if we don't, how are they gonna dispatch our cars?
Yeah, we won't be able to.
Right.
It's just the paperwork, you know?
And the funny thing is we get this rate 2 weeks before they're gonna possibly go live with it. So my estimation is piss poor planning. Because this is something that should've came out long before this, and we're talking about a $6 million upgrade.
Well, I will say, having been the victim of vendors and processes to try to get different things equipped and purchased, that it can be quite an endeavor, even to spend $3,000 or $4,000 sometimes. So spending $10 million, I can only imagine. So while I agree with you that it's definitely late, I will also say, having been on the other side and dealt with things that, back orders and late things, and it'll be there tomorrow, and tomorrow really was 2 weeks from tomorrow, I'm gonna come slack and say, it is what it is, and recognizing that probably we're the biggest difficulty in the county from the standpoint of our terrain. I was talking with a guy tonight, and I had to let him up on the roof, because, when this process has been going along, they were aiming for Halloween as a date. And then it was November, and as of today, at Law Enforcement Council, it's gonna be December, probably middle of December. And talking to the guy downstairs that was down there, when I walked in the basement, I thought he was beating himself with a hammer. He was so unhappy, and he just can't get the damn thing to work. And he's up, he went up on the roof, and he's like, I get your GPS. He says, I'm not coming back here tomorrow, I'm going to Avon tomorrow. He says, because that works, and I'll come back here the next day. So, it's a quite an endeavor. So I guess you're right, it's late, but it's quite a project. And I'm sure, like all things, electronic or mechanical, it will come with a host of difficulties that we'll probably still be talking about for
10 years.
into next year, maybe longer.
Because you know how upgrades turn into.
Oh, yeah.
They're usually downgrades.
Any other comments or questions?
Who's responsible for the maintenance of these?
That I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's, okay.
seems to, yeah.
Maintenance and repair services contacts. The agency may contact Motorola or any Motorola authorized vendor for service when needed. So it sounds like,
Which is Finger Lakes communication.
it doesn't say who's going to pay for it.
I would like to hope that
I would think initially
there'd be a warranty with that.
warranted, yeah.
Yeah. And I would like to think that the quality of the material is at least going to be what we've had in the past, and you know, we've had really good luck. We've spent very, very little on radio repair here over the years, very little. Occasional mic, batteries, those things are, that's what that is, but as far as radio repair.
Usually batteries are based on user who don't cycle it properly. And
We are the agency, so,
Yes.
yep, we are the agency, so at least it's up to us to make contact with any of the Motorola authorized vendors.
As far as actual breakdowns, 19 years I've been police chief, I bet we haven't spent $2,000 in that breakdown. So we've been, we take care of our stuff, but use that right, and it's been good stuff.
no, that's not the
I know.
issue. Sometimes you hate when you see agreements like this because you know what, we're being forced to use it, but now we've got to agree to something. And it's like, well, what if we didn't agree? Well, then how are you going to dispatch our vehicles because you're the 911 center and you got to tell our vehicles because you're taking our calls. You know, and
Our hands are tied.
our hands are tied, but in the end, I mean, timing is not of the greatest when you're getting it
Yeah.
now. Well, it was going to be rolled out
Halloween.
Halloween.
Before Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with getting this stuff because I think it'll be better and hopefully. But
About $45,000 of stuff for us.
That what we cost.
Including the fire department,
From us.
Just the PD.
just the PD.
Just the PD, about $45,000.
now you guys are going to be getting new radios too.
Not the villages, towns, not the.
Yeah.
I will make a motion to approve the radio subscriber upgrade project agreement.
Okay, a motion from trustee Labar to approve the agreement. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from trustee Humphrey. Further discussion?
So the towns are getting it, but the villages aren't.
Doesn't make sense.
No,
If there's an emergency,
you're gonna be part of
right,
the
we're not.
plan.
Well, there's going to be a bigger emergency in the village, and there is probably in the towns. You see how the village has, you know, all the residences, and it's
More populated.
yeah.
Demographics are more.
So how are you going to communicate with anyone?
Cell phone.
But usually the cell phones usually don't work when there's an emergency, usually down.
Do you even have a radio in your truck?
Amongst us, we do. Amongst our own
But the
vehicles.
PD won't be able to talk to you guys to say, hey, this MBA is clearing up. Could you run a load of salt through or so? I mean, that's a crap deal there. Taking the system away from us and not replenishing
Supposed to
that
be making
back
it
to the
better, I
villages.
thought. It's supposed to be more universal.
It's inquired on.
I know they inquired,
Yeah, yeah.
every village is inquired.
It's been talked about, it's just the finances weren't there for that part of that, for the town and the fire.
But Lord knows we went 65.
The problem with towns because they're more remote. They're more remote areas where at least the village are close to something always.
And probably what we should consider, I mean, we should probably have the ability to have conversations. So at some point, while there is a, I'm not sure if it's mentioned in there, if I read it someplace else, but there is a I think it's a 1-year price break.
Looked like it was till December something, 2016 was 40% off.
Yep, you got 40% up to the December 15th, and after that it's 31%.
2016.
That's
Yep.
nice. There's 31% after.
31% up through December 15th of 2019.
We get a third, almost a third, couple of years. So, I mean, the portable radios, which are supposed to be, you're supposed to get all that in a bag of chips. So, that would, and I think the price on those is about $3,000 a piece. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
A
yeah.
regular portable that we're carrying now is $1,000. The new ones are $3,000.
But see, didn't they run about $1,200?
Not even anymore.
Really?
They give those things away.
Yeah.
$200-300 we can buy it for what we need.
Well, here's my question. All your portables that you guys have now, could probably, because that band's still gonna be available, because that band's still gonna be available within. I'm wondering, can you transmit to the old band through the new band? Because otherwise you could take your old portables and equip them into a cart or the vehicle charger in all the trucks.
Right.
And somehow, I mean, I'm wondering if that is a possibility.
I was gonna bring it up at law enforcement council, but I wanted to wait to talk to a couple of the guys that are a little bit more,
Knowledgeable.
Mike Bradley, and
Talk to Bradley.
that's what I want to talk to. He's the other guy.
Randy.
But I want to get Randy, I want to get Bradley, so, to see if those are still gonna be whether they still work.
I was under the understanding that within the bank, the old bank of radios is still gonna be in there. And so, they may still be somehow, if there's gonna be, what they call it, the antique bank is gonna be in there.
And if that's the case, and they'll still be able to transmit, then we can pass those along.
Pass those along, and you guys can still reach them in the car.
Because we would have.
If not, we need to look at something that's moving forward, because,
So I thought the same thing, so I just wanted to make sure I asked.
It was national emergency, catastrophe, whatever, DPW's been.
All right, Mayor and I were just talking about that, 2 weeks ago, we were just talking about the fact of doing some,
Training.
between us and DPW, so, because you're gonna use them for certain things.
well, look at the time when the East Hill slid off the side of the hill in that one torrential rainstorm. I mean, DPW was was out there, and they probably, the police were handling things, and conversation, even at little, it needed to happen. And let's face it, if something happens and the cell phones go down, you're gonna turn to them radios that are supposed to work when you key the button.
Okay, anything else on that before we vote? Okay, trustee Whitenack. Trustee Labar. Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Motion passes. Next big topic. It says Mill Creek LLC, but that's actually Dental Professionals. Reimbursement. Or I should say a credit, actually. I won't say it's necessarily a reimbursement credit. We talked about this at some length last week. I do have some charts here, or a chart. Shows the expenditures from 2003. Everybody got a copy? Okay, good. Good. The October one's probably the more germane of all the items on there, but it gives you an idea how things are all over the map. I understand, Scott, you talked to Dr. Hale yesterday?
Yes, I did, and when I walked in, he was more concerned about an issue that I had no idea, and I don't think he had an idea until they actually went back and looked through the billing, but this was some bills back, I think when we...
Well, number one, he doesn't get to argue bills
No, I know,
back.
I just, that's just for...
Yeah. You have 10 days to argue your bill.
Right, so we're not going there, but, I mean, he has some issues there, he's got some legitimate gripe, if you will, but it's never brought to our attention, so, water over the dam at this point. Actually, Matt and I were discussing this morning, and our 90-day read is 30 days short, basically it goes back to July 7th. We lost a month, because when we did the 90-day read, a month had already gone by. So his next bill is gonna have like 89,000 gallons on it for irrigation. Because some of it was in September. So, there's another issue that Matt brought up this morning, which is a very good point. I'm to the point, you guys gotta make a plan of this, 89,000 gallons that's gonna show up on his next bill for irrigation. The 1 meter showed 800 and, whatever it was, 802,400 for irrigation. I questioned it because it only showed 27,000 gallons of diesel. We've lost that month, the 90-day read, so I really can't prove anything. I don't think either meter's wrong. I just think there's something that we're not seeing. What that is, I don't know. But if you take the numbers that you guys have in front of you, add all these up, and use every number on here, do an average, it's like 197,040 is what he uses. That's with all the readings. Take out those high October readings, it's about 129,000 gallons a quarter average. So you take that for the average for the summer and then deduct it. Now, I don't know what's fair at this point. It's you know, we're gonna change it, we're gonna put we'll have them put a separate meter in, but they have separate base for that meter, if that's what you guys want to do. And that'll correct it in the future. But somehow,
Scott, just to interject here for a
Yeah.
second, if you take the October readings only, the ones that are in bold, the
right,
average is going to be significantly higher than what you just gave, taking the average for all the readings.
if you took just those, yeah.
You just took the October.
I didn't do that.
So that should more reflect typical usage for that quarter versus taking all the quarters together. But anyways, go ahead, continue with
And
your
I also
point.
don't think that the 829 is completely off the chart. When you look at October 2005, it was 876,000.
Mhm.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so it is very well possible,
Yes.
Especially if it's a dry year.
and that's exactly what this is. And I don't know what it was in 2005.
What was the weather like this summer?
Yeah, I think the usage will reflect the weather.
And this is a very dry summer.
You just can't lump everything together because water usage, as we all know, is very seasonal, dependent upon the weather, so. But with that said, you still have points to be made. Go ahead.
I guess my point is, maybe we should give him what the irrigation meter says, the 802 for this last quarter, and then he pays the next quarter whatever's on there, period. And go on. It's basically, if we use what I could get off the 90-day read, 581,000 gallons, it comes to basically $2,033. If you give him the whole 802,000, it's 2,808. I don't know what's fair at this point. I honestly don't.
So when was the last time that the main meter was read?
That would have been September 12th.
September 12th?
Yes, 9/12.
Okay, so if we were to take a reading tomorrow, that would represent 2 months. I'm just thinking about,
I was
this,
gonna walk down and sell it
this
yesterday.
this 829, and we're 2 months, into the next billing cycle. I would be interested where that number is.
Well, again, you've got some irrigation in there.
As I say, you got, again,
Well, the irrigation, you said,
There's like 89,000 of irrigation now on
right.
this read, on the new meter read right now.
Yeah, but we could take a look at where we're at for the total volume of incoming water over a 2-month period for September, October, and November. For a 2-month period, just for comparison. I'm not sure what that's going to tell us, but we have the capability to do that.
I believe that irrigation meter 802, brand new meter, I don't think there would be anything wrong with it.
But we can test that, though. I mean,
Well, we can test it, we can pull the meter out and test it, we can do that too. Have it tested.
So if we go based on what you're telling us on the low side, you've got the 2033 coming back on the sewer side. And how confident are you to say that you feel that number is a correct number? Or if it's anything, it's a correct number low, not a correct number high, so we would not be giving anything away.
Right, it's a correct number low.
It's a correct number low.
He wasn't against that number. Like if you look on his sheet that I just gave Pete, it says right at the bottom of it, he believes the 809 is too high.
And
If you look at all these other reads, other than a couple, it is.
so next
I don't
month,
think it
the
is.
next quarter, we're gonna have to back off 89,000 because you're saying
Well-
that's what goes through, only on the sewer side. So in the end, we're talking about something that we didn't use to begin with, right? And we're not going over and above and beyond.
We're
For the
going by
water
what we
side that
approved
would've went
for.
through the sewer.
Yeah, we have numbers for.
You have numbers to prove what you're asking.
Right.
And I think, in the end, with the numbers to prove what we're asking, it's easier to make that calculation and say, probably a refund would be a refund, and it's not a refund, it would be basically omitting the sewer low and not on the high side, so it's in our favor either way, probably. Would you be fair to say that?
Yeah, because like you said, I can live with these numbers, here they are.
Then I don't
It's
have an
something
issue with
that we
moving
have.
forward with it and putting this behind us, and then that we know that next quarter, we're gonna deal with the 89,000 that's there. And next year, we won't deal with this matter.
So if we're gonna do that, we'll do a 90-day read tomorrow. On his,
But I don't see what,
so that we have that now.
will that give us any additional information though?
It'll give us, we'll know exactly when the irrigation ran for those few days, like 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, if you capture the information, because you're gonna capture the information, that's fine. But I think that,
Well, if
I
we're gonna do it
read-
next month, I wanna capture the information now, because if we wait,
Yeah.
it'll be
Right.
too late, and I'll miss
yes,
it again.
yes.
So, if we're gonna, if that's what you're, suggesting, that we give him another sewer rebate next month, next quarter.
Because that's what we didn't agree to it up here, but is that what you kinda had in your head?
Well, I think to be fair at this point, there's some irrigation in this next quarter. You should probably get a deduction.
And you're gonna be able to go in and capture that information to show us what the irrigation was on those dates,
Exactly.
to make sure the 89,000 is correct.
If we're gonna do that, yeah, tomorrow. we'll-
So now, if we were to credit back the 2033, we still put him in line with what his bill should have been anyways, correct?
Yeah, well.
So we haven't lost anything.
No, it puts him at usage at his office at 248, which is a little higher than his averages for the last, 15
We
years.
could have been watering plants in the window.
However,
These dry
28,000
days.
is significantly lower than where he's been for usage prior to the installation of the 1.5 inch.
Right.
I mean, you can look at it both ways, and I understand,
Yes.
Right.
What
At
is
least we have
his,
something
what is
to
his
base
bill
our decision
normally?
on.
yes.
Actual paper that
His
says.
October bill is normally what? I mean, when we take this number, okay, let's just take last year, October 2015, of 414,000 gallons. His bill's still only gonna be probably hitting, without putting the irrigation in, his bill was probably well over $4,000. Now that he's thinking that he's backing off the sewer on it, he probably is gonna utilize that a little bit more, because he figures, well, I'm not gonna be paying for the sewer end of it. So if I use double the amount of water, at least I'm only paying for the water, I'm not paying for the sewer. For every 1,000 gallons, you're spending $7.50, he's figuring, well, I can run 2,000 gallons for the same price I did last year. Without realizing, well, maybe it feeds a little more out, you know what I'm saying? I'm not in disagreement with the $2,033 rebate. Scott has the paperwork on it that can go either way, and we know that it's low. It's not a high, it's the low end. And I think we keep that documentation on file to show, in case there's ever an audit of it, of how we came to what we came with it. And we move on, because we could beat this up again for a while.
Well, there's another question in there that we really haven't discussed yet. Let's say we all agree to this. He has a late fee. He hasn't paid his bill.
I thought he had paid the bill.
Nope.
I asked the secretary to pay the bill, and it was almost nothing to do.
How much is the late fee?
$630 paid.
It's gotta be paid. My feeling's just like any homeowner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't fight him on that. You gotta pay it, and then
Argue
we'll
it.
work through the bill, but in the end, I mean,
10%.
well, would it be 10%? It should be calculated 10% of the bill. So I was gonna drop it to 400 and some, because the bill's technically 4,000 now, not the 6,000. So I think that we should correct that correctly with what we're billing is gonna be.
Yeah.
And make it, it's gonna be a $400 late payment, but I'm sorry, it's a late payment, and we could have addressed this either way, but the late payment on what you did use is late. We're working through the rest, but I think you deduct, my motion would be to refund the 2033 92, and once that is reduced out of the bill, then calculate his late payment and apply the late payment to that.
See, now what Karen's gonna want to correct her, I don't know about the lazy, I can't speak on it, maybe Megan can, but she's definitely, she wants to check for the 6,500 upfront from the doc, and then we will give him a rebate. That way, her books jive.
Okay.
Because she's billed it, she wants to collect it, now you guys have, you've given him a refund.
I can see where she's coming from.
Yeah.
But the penalty, I don't know how important that would be to Karen, that part of it though.
Well, in my motion, I'm
Because
offering it
money that
back.
wasn't billable to begin with, then we have to give it back, and you can't charge a late fee on money that wasn't billable.
No, I understand that, it's just,
So you can
So
rebate
if
it.
we shouldn't have billed it, then, you know, yeah, then.
They gotta pay the full bill, we'll refund the 2033 plus the portion of the penalty, which would be $203 or whatever it's gonna turn out to be. We'll refund that in the refund as well. That's part of my motion. Does everyone understand my motion?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion so we can
We'll
move
handle
on.
the late fee like we typically do.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't
That
have,
will not change.
I would second that.
Okay, so I have a motion from trustee Rittenhouse and a second from trustee Humphrey to go forward with the recommended rebate or credit, I guess, would be a more appropriate way to say it.
But then in addition, like what Dan said, is keep that documentation.
Yep.
on file.
I think you need to
Whoever
take
audited.
everything you got there,
I'll give it all to Karen.
give it to Karen, so she can keep it on record in case, again, we're audited and people want to know what's going on.
Just like everything, yeah.
So,
A question, you said we know that they've used 89,000 additional gallons for irrigation. So we have the same capability to go in there and pull 90 days worth of data from the main, and we could work through that the same as you did right there and do a cross comparison. I think that would be of value. I'm not sure whether it'll tell us anything, but you see where I'm coming from.
At least you have it.
Because we're still gonna have one more refund.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, we're not gonna do anything differently, but I think it's important to see how the two different systems compare.
any further questions, comments, recommendations? I have something after we get done voting. Okay. Trustee Whitenack.
Aye.
Trustee LeBar.
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Now, the other thing, getting back to, not necessarily Dr. Hale himself, but the, having a different system in the future. If somebody wants to go with an irrigation system.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, people, we also need to deal with him on his,
Yeah, well, yeah, what I'm saying is, and now that we're more or less settled on how this is gonna go forward, as far as the payment goes, we've still gotta rectify how we're gonna handle these systems in the future. You can't have you can't have one meter reading another meter, essentially. They've gotta be separate lines, separate base charges, no ifs, ands, or buts, and everybody gets the same deal.
We've got a situation with Agway right now too,
Mhm.
you know,
In the hospital.
in the hospital.
Yep.
Right.
But they're all agreements. We've had agreements with them. We haven't had an agreement here.
No, but
That's why I'm bringing it
in
up.
Scott's defense, he was doing what.
No, I
that was
understand,
good and-
but I'm just saying to
Yep.
make it clear right now, everybody on the same page, we're all in one room,
Right.
Right.
is that we can't have a private meter on the other side of our meter. It's two systems. You got one public, one private, and we only read the public. And
Unless it's set up through us, then we're not gonna take a second meter into consideration.
that's right. So just so that, and he needs to switch his system.
yeah, and they're gonna,
Yeah. It's,
Oh, wait, this type of situation.
yep.
and then,
And it'll be our meter, not theirs. Well, let me put it this way, it could be their meters, but that screws, that's mingling apples and oranges now, because we're gonna have a mechanical, a visual read with a,
we would put our head on that meter.
okay,
There's nothing wrong with that meter.
all right. We've tested their meter to make sure it works right?
Their new meter, no, we have not tested the meter.
But we'll
We
put
can
it-
do that, that's not.
Well, if we're gonna put our head on it, we're gonna make it ours essentially.
Right, well, it's a brand new meter, so I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's probably registered. got 890,000 gallons, that's it, so I'm sure it's gonna be pretty
But
good.
don't you think also, though, it's in our best interest, given the situation, to test this one?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we're going to do it.
Actually,
And we're going to do it. I
maybe
mean,
both
let's,
of the meters.
let's make a affirmative statement here. We are going to do it.
Well, the one better, we'll just, I have meters, inch and a half meters, we'll just put a new one.
Yeah,
You know, take that one right out of the equation right now and have it tested. Done with it. That way it starts from
if it's
fresh.
tested, I don't have a problem with putting that one back in. That's not a problem. I just think it's in our best interest.
To ensure it is.
And this is a unique situation, and the meter could be fine, but we ought to determine that without a doubt that it is, and then decide how we're going to configure it relative to, in comparison to what other people are doing, like Gateway. I mean, we talked about this. I mean, you're going to have a separate line come off the main as it's coming in, and with the irrigation meter there.
They'll get a base charge for that.
How soon would that happen?
Before next irrigation season.
Yeah, I would,
If it's not done, then he's on his own and he's gonna pay what comes through the 2-inch meter.
yeah, and I guess my point is then, the irrigation meter, without a doubt, should not be turned back on.
And it's, right now, it's
Period.
locked, it's locked
And
off
until,
right now.
until, we come to an agreement here as to how we're gonna handle it, and, they should know that, it's not to be turned back on, period.
Well, they do, they're paying for it based on the 2-inch meter.
You know,
We're gonna look into the reads tomorrow and get the overall read, and then he's gonna address the 89,000. But after that point, you turn it back on to do anything with it, you're on your own, you're paying what goes through the 2-inch main. Until the other meter's set up properly, until it's set up with the.
yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
is that the irrigation stays off.
Well, he can turn it on, he's gonna pay for it all through the 2-inch meter, he's gonna pay sewer
Yeah.
on it.
In other words, what we're
Until
saying
we
is we're not even
determine
gonna read
what
it.
the root cause of the issue, let's eliminate, where the issue occurs, and it's with that 1.5-inch meter. Let's just make sure it's turned off until we determine, without a doubt, that it's not a meter issue.
Well, no,
That's my point.
what Dan is saying, it would be no different than the rest of us. If we go out and turn on the spigot and water our yard right now,
Right.
there's only one meter reading it. They can turn their meter on to run the water through it,
We
but we aren't
agree.
paying any attention to it.
We don't care
Well,
what
okay,
it
as
says.
long as there's understanding of
Yeah,
that.
well, yeah,
Either they don't turn it on, or,
They're on their own, we don't care what it says.
yeah, right, we're not gonna, okay.
Run that baby
Either
at
way,
will.
either way.
You're paying the 2-inch meter line until you get that set up properly.
Either way.
Yep.
Just recognize that, however you handle it, that is pretty much, not gonna be looked at. It's out of the equation.
We can include that in our, when we do the water and sewer laws.
Yes.
We can include that, edit it. I don't think there's anything in there as far as an irrigation. I didn't
see
that document.
No.
3 inches
I mean,
thick, but I didn't-
most people aren't gonna know how to do it because they're gonna have to pay a separate base charge.
I mean, it's gotta come off the main, and it's gonna branch off, so, okay, once you got the irrigation, meter on it, my idea was just not to turn that part on, so you still have water going into the house and the other facilities, that it provides water to.
Did we ever find out what the third?
Okay.
Yes, it's
that's
the size of the
the
line.
size of the line. They're paying 3 bases because it's a 2-inch line. So and the irrigation is 1.5 inches, so that's a 2 base charge. But, I've kind of quizzed everybody on that, and we all feel that it should be 1 base for the irrigation, not hit them 2 bases for the irrigation, just because it's.
It's just gonna be cheaper to run it through the 2-inch main.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's,
So based on the size pipe you have coming into your house,
Mhm.
well, be a business, I mean, your house is just a 3/4 inch line.
well, let's say I say, hey, I want a 2-inch line coming into my house.
You're gonna pay.
You're gonna pay for it.
Well, you would expect to pay for it in your usage.
That's the law, as it's written.
Talk to your buddy over there. He's got the committee.
Mr. Rittenhouse, we have not gotten to that point yet. When that point comes, when that time comes, we'll keep you apprised.
So,
Moving right along.
so the hospital, how big of a line goes into the hospital?
6, I think, yeah.
What's that?
They have a wholly separate deal over there. They charge by the room somehow. You have to ask Karen the details. That's a whole
It's-
separate contract.
It's like a hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they pay really basis,
Yeah.
like 30 base charges.
There's a lot of talk about that.
should be. That needs to be rectified. That's
Yeah,
really
that
not
needs to
fair.
be.
Yeah, because not all of the rooms are occupied. What, the second, second floor is pretty wide open, isn't it?
Yeah, except for
The sleep clinic.
I don't know why they didn't go by this. I mean, this says
Yeah.
6 inch for less than 8. I can't, I might be an 8.
I don't know, it's big
That'd
line.
be 15 base charges.
That's a lot. You got a big bill over
And
there.
I
would like to relinquish.
learned something new today. I'll keep my 3/4 inch line, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, are we done with the water?
We all agree then, one base charge for
Yeah,
irrigation?
right.
Yes.
We have to vote on that?
And then do they buy the meter, like if somebody decides to set this up, because we had talked about owning our meters at one time, so did we give them a meter?
We do own our meters.
We
So
own
we
them,
would
but
provide the meter or they pay for it?
I think that we have to
For
write this into
purpose?
our law, that if they want that, they're gonna have to pay for the meter.
I
because
agree.
I
it's a
agree.
Yeah.
Deal, man.
I don't know why they would want it. I mean, maybe with him because he's got a large
Yeah,
unit.
nobody else is gonna want it.
No,
No homeowner's gonna.
but it
pay.
should be covered.
We still should have it in there,
Mhm.
written in there.
Right.
Yeah, and Karen
Well-
will ask me tomorrow and.
We can go ahead and- if you want, and because of the size of the line, make it just a one base charge if you want, if somebody wants to make a motion to that effect,
Just for the irrigation.
just for the irrigation.
I think we should make a motion and pass that, just so that it's cut and dry.
Are we, can we override a law with a motion? And I think the answer to that is no.
Well, I don't think we're overriding the law.
You are overriding the law, you just said it's based on the water and sewer laws is what,
Well, right, but he's already paying for the 2-inch line coming in. He's paying the 3 bases on the line that services his building. Now, he's just branching off from that with another meter. I wouldn't say that's a, this is a service line that feeds the facility.
so how many bases is he paying now? 3?
Three.
So he'll jump to 4. I don't have an issue.
But he only paid just on the water.
Because he's still only got a 2-inch feed.
Well, then we wouldn't need a motion. I don't think, because we're not talking about,
Overriding anything.
you're actually putting in a smaller line off of that 2-inch, right?
Off the fourth main, you're gonna feed a smaller line.
And he's just branching off inside of his building
Mm-hmm.
and asking for a separate meter. So,
I don't have an issue
I'd say
with that.
1 base is fair.
Because he's gonna get 4 bases.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
He's got a baseball game. We have
I'm
4 bases,
fine
Better
with
up.
that.
Yeah, one's home plate.
Put it back on the home plate.
still a base.
Yep. All righty.
Excuse me, Mayor,
Yes.
motion to go past 9
I
o'clock.
have a motion from trustee Whiteneck
Good, thank you, Dick.
to continue our meeting past 9 o'clock.
I thought we were out of here in time till we got to all this.
I think you didn't notice.
I got a motion from trustee Whiteneck. Have a second.
Second.
Second from trustee Humphrey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I just wonder if we put another clock over here for him, because this is the way he looks.
We can move it.
No, I will get another one.
All righty.
We got out of here earlier.
Motion go past 9, approved at 9:14.
Everybody said aye, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Aye.
All right, discuss and vote on the electronic devices and information technology security policy. Did everybody get that in their email?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions with it or about it?
No.
That's, some of that is from the state guidance, the part about notification. The rest of it is from, don't ask me what the name of it is. It's called SANS, or SANSI. It's a national organization that deals with computer issues. And that's where basically that came from. There are, I know Megan, you had some questions about the numbers, the number of digits for the
Yeah, for the password.
passwords.
It's just conflicting with another statement that's in there, and that's a lot of letters and numbers for a password.
So if I write it on my wall, it's potentially gonna get.
If you write it on your wall, you're in trouble, all right, because you're already violating the law, the policy.
What was, do you have a copy of it?
Not right with me.
I think.
I got it on my
it'd be
computer.
More than sufficient to have 6 characters, and I think what was in there.
Who's saying that, you, or is that somebody who knows about security?
It was like more than 8, anything that you ever get on that tells you that you have a strong password. It's just,
True.
It's just general. You know, and then if you have a number.
So these computer experts, I don't know what they're talking about, the computer security experts.
Okay, so if you have that, then you just have to change another part in there because it's conflicting, because part of it says 6.
Okay,
But then our requirement, in the policy that you have, it says a strong password is 6 characters, but requirement is more characters. So there's just a conflicting part in there.
I'll have to look at
That's
that.
all, so it just needs to be,
Okay, minus that,
I think, so that it's the same.
I will take a look at it. So you want me to hold off on this? Or you want to go ahead and approve it and I'll adjust the, make the corrections? So that they're in sync? What do you feel?
Tired.
I read it and I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Okay, and I typed it up and I didn't notice it.
I can make a motion that we approve it, recognizing that there may be a need to clarify statements relative to the passwords.
Okay,
I would say.
okay, a motion from trustee Labar and a second from trustee Humphrey to approve it, contingent upon us straightening out the password issue.
Relative.
Relativity.
Okay, any other comments, input? Okay, trustee Whitenack,
Aye.
trustee Labar,
Aye.
trustee Rittenhouse,
Aye.
trustee Humphrey,
Aye.
and the mayor's an aye. Okay, that one's down, passes 5. Is that, the other one is our sexual harassment policy, which we are required to have.
It's because they were gonna get that right in place, huh?
I didn't see any issues with that.
Well, you just offended me.
I'm sorry.
That's a pretty standard one, too. Didn't take a lot of creativity on any of this. Okay, can I have a motion then?
So moved.
Have a motion by trustee Humphrey, second?
Second.
Second by trustee Labar. Discussion? Not hearing any. Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Thank you very much. And you should have a copy of the demand letter.
I like it. This is like a way late, no, this is like.
Yeah.
Did we get the, any information in regards to the,
Yeah,
in regards to the
thank you.
credit card stuff? Did they send that stuff out?
No,
They actually haven't sent anything yet.
Is there any way you could reach out to them and let them know that we are
Yes.
interested in going that direction? And as soon as we get that information, we'd like to move that along. Do we have to have board action on that to go to that? Or is that something that we should probably just make a motion that we're gonna go to that?
probably, we'll have to look at our agreement. Our agreement may spell out how we're set up, but I'll look into that as well.
Is that something that we can approve if needed? So
And-
that you can get going on that? I mean, you know, it's easier to over-approve than under-approve. If we approve that
Yeah.
we go to that, then that
Yeah,
way,
we can
there's
always
no,
drop it later if we.
you can always drop it if you need to.
Yeah, because we will be signing a contract, I'm sure, with whatever credit card company, so yeah, we would need,
So after we get done doing this demand letter, then we'll go into that if
Okay.
you don't mind, and
Sure.
that way we can just move forward with it as soon as we can and try to curb some of that.
okay.
Would this letter ever be used to cover where there's been partial payment and a lapse in payment? Because it says payment has been made, has not been made, but what if there's been a partial payment, then there's been a lapse, and now they're in, and they haven't paid it in full, so here's my thinking. Payment has not been made in full on the account, and demand is hereby made for this debt to be paid in full. Oh, I'm sorry. It says there has not been paid in full. Okay.
Can I jump back for a minute?
Well, to be paid in full. I'm saying if there's been a partial payment, I don't know, people probably either pay or don't.
if there's
It's
been a.
probably not very usual,
Well,
it's a partial payment.
But she did say that night we were sitting here, that they need to call them and make up an arrangement to have that payment
Right.
made out. It could be an installment payment. They just want the money to be paid. Like you said, there's a couple there with some significant amounts, they're not gonna be able to pay it all off at one shot. So if you talk with them, they'll accept that and
You know,
leave
look
you
at
alone.
Over 18 months or something. she
Some,
said.
yeah, so then they'll leave them alone up to that point. And,
Yeah.
you know, if they violate the arrangement they had, then they would come out with the letter.
And we may use this if they've made a partial payment, but
Right.
there hasn't been an arrangement set up.
So
You
you
know,
wouldn't really,
and medics will send these out whenever we ask them to.
okay, okay.
So we could always set, you know, we could set the guidelines on that.
Okay. Yep. I think it's important just to mention that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree. And I did put it, from the mayor, I wasn't sure if that was correct or not.
Yeah, I reckon it is.
And most of the sample letters were very long, most of them.
Yeah, keep it short
And
and
I
simple.
just thought short and simple so that they actually read it.
Yeah,
So that's why we did our own.
less is best.
No, I think this pretty well answers the bill. We can run it past them and make sure that it's okay. I don't think they'd have a problem with it. I said there were a couple, there was one there, I think it was Caledonia, that had a real harsh one.
Motion to accept.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Rittenhouse to go forward with this demand letter as written. Do I have a second? Second from trustee Humphrey. Discussion. Okay, trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Motion passes, since I've got to write it, or at least sign it. Okay, now, trustee Rittenhouse, you had a motion
Yeah,
you
I'd
were
like to
going
make a motion that we move forward with with doing the credit card payments through MedX. However, we gotta word that. And that the cost of that be taken off the top before any splits. Like was the agreement we made with the ambulance company?
Yes. I have a motion from trustee Rittenhouse for a credit card payments to be accepted for MedX. That'll be taken off the top before any disbursements are made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Humphrey. Discussion? Okay, trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Excuse me, what'd you say, Dick?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Thought I heard something else. No. I went in automatic mode and said, wait a minute, back up. Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the board from the board itself?
Just real quick, with you guys' tenure on the board, was there any, ever, with the credit card issue, I always thought, too, of talking to Karen, and maybe you guys have tried it before, I don't know, or talked about it. But what is the possibility of setting up a credit card or debit card downstairs in the water and sewer department for either taxes or water sewer bills, where we can take a debit card or a credit card?
It was done once upon a time, according to Karen. I've asked her this question a couple of times, actually. And they did away with it because the cost, it just wasn't cost effective. You know, given all of the, you know, the fees you got to pay and all of that stuff, by the time they got done, the village was behind. We weren't bringing in enough money, you know, to
They're paying out.
paying out more than,
Whoever the vendor, what MasterCard
Yeah.
or Visa or whatever. Do you know how long ago that was, did you say?
I want to say it wasn't that long ago, but I honestly don't recall. It's been a while since I talked to her
I
about it.
haven't seen it since I've been.
Yeah.
But you can bargain with those guys today.
I was gonna say,
I don't know, I
I know for myself, it would be so much easier.
I-
Just
do it
go
online.
like-
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Here it is.
Or even walk in and run
I
it.
had the
Or
young
walk
lady
in and
come
run
up
it.
and
It's done.
try
The mayor's
to
taking them out, yeah.
negotiate with her
You
and
know, I
she didn't take
can,
it.
sorry, I
So I
can
think,
talk to Karen.
you know,
If you'd like to, I have no problems with it. Water and sewer comes under you anyway, so.
I have been looking into that.
Oh, you have?
Since I've started working here. I have a lot of information on it. I think it would be an accounting nightmare for us to do it down in the office. Our bookkeeper doesn't recommend it. However, I am very interested in doing like an online payment program, so that if folks want to get online, they would be able to access it through our website, just like the court system does. They could get online and they could pay that way. And the user would pay for the credit card fee, not the village.
That sounds better yet.
That sounds even better, yeah.
Right, so we wouldn't, I wouldn't take them for taxes, Karen wouldn't take them for water and sewer, but they would be able to get online. So everything would be done behind the scenes, and then I would reconcile on that end. So Karen would just continue doing what she's doing.
But we're not in the position to start that right now.
No.
Right.
No, there's been more negativity about the idea than there has been positive comments. So I just kept a lot of it to myself. I did a training class at the NICOM training, and have gathered quite a bit of information, but most of the people that I asked, there's just been negativity that we're too small. Some of the feedback is anyone who wants to pay a credit card is, a landlord who doesn't live in the village anyways. But like you just said for yourself, it would be convenient for you, and you live here. So I would be happy to
I
provide
think it
you guys.
would be easier, and I know for myself, there's been times where, okay, I'm gonna pay it there, but then something comes up where I'll pay it next week. And then it gets switched back to something else comes up, where you got it right then and it's done, and over with and off your plate.
Other than municipalities do it, I just don't know about, as Megan had mentioned, the size of the communities. And
Yeah.
I could ask tomorrow night at the association dinner how many of them do.
yeah.
And ask, I guess also ask how much staff they have, I guess, as well, who's in the clerk's office.
Yeah.
Just an idea, and even before I was on the board, I thought about that.
I think that's a good idea.
Debit card, credit card, but I like the idea of doing it online.
Okay.
And a lot of places charge you for that, it's like, I don't know, if you pay it online, I think NICEAG is $2, and I don't know.
Well, if we don't have to pay it, then I
Right, and
don't.
we could set it up that way. I had looked into that originally because a lot of people said municipalities could not use taxpayer dollars for credit card fees, but we actually can. If we decided that we wanted to do that, we can. But that's why I had looked into that initially, was because I thought that was the law.
Well, good.
Just a thought.
No, it's a good thought.
Yeah.
What we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, I see that there's another payment in there for the $3,000 for the site dump rental. Didn't we approve to move forward with that last month to
We
purchase
did,
that?
but that rental charge was already in the works.
That cycle had already gone through.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, they've already issued, I actually talked to him today about that. They've already issued the third rental charge, which I really don't have a problem, but I said, you need to get it billed out. I mean, either way, you're gonna pay the same amount of money. So you might get one more than the bill, the difference.
Which will still only be down like $3,000 on that.
We'll pay 6 on it, and then balance.
And I also see that there was a rental fee of $13.65, I think it was, for a plate tamper.
Yeah, we have it.
And how much is a plate tamper to buy?
Well, that's another interesting question. We'll have, actually, I had that same plate tamper before here, and I asked the guy if I could use the rent that I paid on it towards, if we wanted to purchase it. He said we could, so I gotta find out what the buyout is, but it's probably, to buy it, probably like $4,000.
Only because if you're over the next, let's just say the next handful of years, we're going to be replacing sewer lines all over this village and water lines. And if we're gonna need a plate tamper, and we're at the point where purchase may be ready, I mean, it's something we might wanna look at, because I thought $13.65 was a lot to rent.
It is a lot, it's a big plate camper.
Is
All
that-
we have is a little small one, actually, I use it on everything, so I use it on sidewalks.
Is that something that would be beneficial?
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up because I gotta see what the buyout is and the whole
Look at that,
enchilada.
right in front of you.
What's that?
When I seen it, it was like
Yeah.
1365. That's a big number for a rental of a piece of equipment that I didn't think was going to be.
Big
That's why I
monster.
try to own all that we can, because at the end of the day, it's expensive.
Pulled Brian all over that hill.
What's that?
I say it pulled Brian
Yeah,
all
you
over
saw
that.
it, didn't you?
Ended up having to hook it onto the end of the excavator, wasn't it?
Yeah, that poor thing, you
Shut that
got,
off. Okay.
you got well use this on.
I mean, if he's willing, if we've got other into it, and he's going to allow us to use that rent into it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's worthy of looking into it
Yeah, well, I definitely can look into it, because,
because it's something that you're going to continue to use moving forward, especially if our I&I is our problem. You're going to need one of those to.
Sure.
we use it for
Makes
everything.
good sense.
Really, it's not, it's,
Yeah.
the small one doesn't
Yeah.
pack very, it's a little small one we have.
Yeah.
You know, when
That's the one you used up on Austin.
yeah, we use it for everything up there.
Yeah, if you want to look into that and get us some
I'll bring
information
it to
back
the
on that.
next board meeting.
And see if it's something that your budget can withhold.
Oh, I can,
I mean,
it would
we've
make,
already-
they cost about 10 or 11,000 to buy one unit. That's why we don't have one. It's always been, something that you just kind of do without, But then,
But they don't go bad, they got
no, they last a long, long time.
long time. I mean, when I was working down at Bennett's, we had them and they were super old and the worst thing for them nowadays is the ethanol and the gas.
This is diesel, so
Even better.
There you go, yeah.
It just caught my,
it's a good observation.
At our department meeting, Scott, could you maybe just say a few words on composting, where we're at on a
Now,
monthly basis? No, but starting next department meeting. Just bring us up to date, let us know what's going on down there.
well, right
I mean,
now,
it's
I'll
a-
bring
it's
you
a-
up to
it's a
speed
large
right now, 'cause it'll
operation.
Take a second. I mean, basically, the building, I've got to move compost out, take it up to the dump, and we'll mix it.
I mean, how much you're making, or, just comments about, what you're using it for, that kind of thing.
We haven't really used any yet,
Yeah,
per se. It's still sitting in the building.
but that would be information you just would share with us.
Yeah, we will use, if we keep doing what we are now, we'll use it all ourselves. I mean, not saying that we couldn't give it away. I would love to build a pole barn at the dump and put it up there, and then whoever's monitoring the dump could sign it out on the weekends to anybody that wants it. That would be my goal, if we get there someday. I would like to be able to park the dozer in there and the compost in
In
the same
fact,
building.
that's what I was asked, is that available? Is the compost available for
Not yet.
people in the?
Well, eventually, but we have to have a way to disperse it, and
Right.
the plan is not the place.
I said, I don't think we've got anything set up yet for it.
No.
I said,
We need something away from the plant. We don't need the public just going to the plant all the time. I mean, it's just not a good situation. They're in there with a loader running
I was
around.
gonna say,
It's just not a good place.
for
I would rather do
liability,
it,
liability reasons.
the dump will be a perfect application. They're there on Saturdays if somebody wants to come up and get some. We have personnel there, they can handle it, do the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork to it. But anyhow, right now, the building's full of piles that are composting down. Our goal is to, they're gonna try to compost through like maybe Christmas and then stop for a couple months. The digesters will be low enough. And in the winter, it doesn't build sludge like it does in the summer. So hopefully we can get through those 2 really cold months not doing composting. That's the plan. But, yeah, it's been going good. No problems.
I know we have finished product that we can use.
Lots of finished product
Yeah.
right now.
Just-
But I want to mix with some topsoil, if I can get my hands on some topsoil. So,
But if you could on a monthly basis, even if it's just a statement, just keep us up to date on what's going on down there, that's all.
grease traps. We talked about the grease ring that was down there when we did the walkthrough.
we got that under control pretty good right now.
And I know that we had talked through the water and sewer laws that we were going to be addressing that, but if that's a slow moving process, it's already in the laws. Some of these places are supposed to have grease traps, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Are we monitoring anything with that?
Well, we're gonna have to enforce it, and, you know, guys like Wong's Kitchen and places like that, they're probably gonna, I don't know, end up.
You're going to have to go in and inspect the system.
There's no system to inspect, so they've gotta install a system.
So is that something maybe we could start putting together, who we're actually targeting, and maybe at least get a letter out to them that says, hey,
Every restaurant.
Yeah.
by spring of 2017, we will be enforcing this law.
Yeah.
Please
put them
make
on
sure
notice.
by, yeah, you're giving them, rather than walking in and going, hey, you don't have it, we knew you didn't have it. We say, hey, in 4 months, it's November, even if we give them 5, by April, we're gonna be enforcing this, so you're gonna have your grease traps in order. This is per water and sewer law. And I don't know, just try to get out in front of it. Would that be a good idea?
Exactly.
Put penalty on that.
And at that point,
Sure.
if you don't have it in, expect to be issued a citation for it, and you will be fined, and it'll be probably a per day charge, or they could even come in and shut them, whatever, however it goes. But I don't want to come in that day and be like, hey, you don't have that going on. As long as we know our targeted area, then I think.
There's a
that-
letter downstairs that Keith wrote to Wong's, Karen has it, then it goes way back.
Well, I think that we need
And
to,
there they are.
we need to re-up it.
You
and
just
then
threaten to
enforce
close them
it.
down.
Yeah.
If they aren't abiding by the
I
law.
agree with what Danny's saying, you gotta treat everybody fairly.
Exactly.
No, I understand that. That's
Send
what every,
everyone that letter out, give it to our target area. If we get it out by the first of the year and we give them to April, we're still, maybe if we can have it out by next month's meeting, or at least have our targeted letter.
Yep.
And maybe we could, when you guys get a list around, you could send it out to us and we could all look at it and see if maybe we see something that maybe you would miss. I don't, just a thought, anyone,
We'll even to put language in there that it would, systems like that, how it makes it easier on our system.
Right.
And it keeps it, the rates down, the maintenance on
Absolutely.
our facility.
Yeah.
Within a
People are
positive
gonna look
light.
at that and say, oh geez, this is my business.
well,
It's
you,
only gonna hurt me if I'm not doing it the right
Well,
way.
what's hurting the rest of the
is
village?
this required by state law?
I think it would be under our sewer use law, I don't know.
No, but I'm just wondering what's the state's
What is your
attitude on
language?
this?
Well, I know when you put like a new restaurant in, the health department demands that you put one in, on a new business,
Okay, state health department or the county health department?
county health department.
We should cite whatever they've got as
Yeah.
well.
Danny probably has it over there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They should probably-
I just know we discussed it, and we just,
Yeah.
we're busy time of the year, but now that, not that it's not gonna
Well, it
be
needs
busy
to be
time.
addressed, I mean, and actually,
Before the problem arises down there, we're like, because I know that when we were down there, the gentleman said, you can't even get that stuff out of that tank, it's
Yeah.
just
Right.
well, we don't wanna ruin our tanks
Right.
before we start the payments. So if something needs to be done, we need to get a letter to them and let them know that it will be coming around in April 1st, and expect to see us, and we will wanna inspect your grease system, and if you don't have one, then you need to get it.
But that's gonna have to go to all kitchens, all
Yeah,
commercial kitchens.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, right, I just say.
Yeah, not just Wong's, but there's several.
Pizza shops, all of them.
Yeah.
Any outfit that,
Chicken fryers, they can work.
great, anybody's got a fryer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Moose Club,
Yep.
there's a lot of different ones out
Churches
there.
too, yeah.
even out in the
Right.
town, if you got like the truck stop, do they use our system?
They have a grease trap.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they still need to have a letter.
yeah,
No, but they do have.
Yeah.
yeah.
And but also we need to remind them, it needs to be maintained in proper operating order.
Exactly. Like you have your,
That's the other.
you need to have the documentation from the company that comes in and maintains that.
Yep.
Just flipping it over in the creek ain't maintaining it.
Or Tammy inspects, or whoever, Scott and Tammy together, or
Yeah,
however.
right.
I mean, it's cumbersome, but at least if we try, then we're doing due diligence to say,
We have to do it because our plant can't handle grease. That's
Yeah.
the one sad part.
Yeah.
and it's new, so it's no better time than right now.
Well, and we're
Yeah.
working on the laws, water and sewer laws, so it's.
And that
all-
part's not
It's all
gonna change.
relative.
Yeah, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna change. That law is not gonna change. You're still gonna have to have that grease trap.
Right.
Yep.
I'm just saying, some of the language is help tighten all that out, but.
And I remember at the Red Cross when they used to back up over there, and that was because Wong's was dumping the grease.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That was a
And you guys would come over there, and
That's nasty.
Yeah.
that's all I had.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Any comments from the community?
I got one question, but.
No, we don't wanna listen to it.
Yeah.
Move on. Next.
Just because we mentioned Castle, don't go there.
No,
What do you got, Yvonne?
It does, nothing on tonight's meeting, but what
Well, Well, then,
No, it was, no, that's it. I
no, 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 no.
Flustered now.
I
It's like you did.
Last month, and I didn't come to the meeting, but when I got the Danzo.
Oh, hearsay, huh?
The Little Caesar's Pizzeria. It's supposed to be coming to Danzo, and because I got in the paper and I said I should have went to the board meeting. but
Somebody else asked that, and I
I
didn't
seen
know
it on
anything
Facebook,
about
and
it.
I
It was on the Danzo paper. and I
Haven't
was-
seen anything on it.
What I truthfully
I was
think
asking
that
about
was
that.
Little Caesars fishing for someone to
Open
open
a
a store.
franchise.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's, I read the story, that's kind of how I read it. We're looking for someone
It says they're
to-
coming, but there's not, they're not really. They would like to come.
I got thinking, I didn't come, I came in September, I didn't hear it
Who
was
wrote the
Danzo.
story?
They come from,
Who do you
like,
think?
Little Caesars.
No, I think Jasmine from Danzo.
Uh-huh.
That's what threw me off.
But it was on Facebook.
Well, she doesn't write the headlines,
Picture of
though.
that
And I
one.
wish I saved it,
Headlines are done by somebody else.
so, yeah. As far as,
Who is our official paper?
Livingston County News.
County
LCN.
News.
So I told somebody the other day, I go, now we want the Evening Tribune. I go, no, I think we want the LCN.
No, we talked about the Tribune, but then we said it was the same company that owns the,
Right.
the Danzo.
Yeah, the editor for them's the editor for here. John Anderson.
Because someone goes, well, you're not getting any coverage. I go, we weren't anywhere before.
Too, right? In the Justice.
At least now it's getting coverage right. Nothing.
like I said, when we saw that, I was.
Well, it's not
I was
wrong.
like, we need another pizza place?
Well,
That's
the
it.
franchise might.
Is that
be
it?
stuff.
That was it, that was the only thing.
Well, that's okay, I'll allow it.
If you put one in, make sure you put grease strap in.
Yeah,
Your,
I
your
got-
comments are always welcome. Just picking on you.
I was gonna say, where we put that? That's the other thing.
Okay,
That's it.
if nobody has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Trustee Whiteneck and trustee LeVar